Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
I'm AdvBlueDude. Hello.
Hi, Adventure Blue Dude. I'm glad you could join us.
Hello.
Hey.
And welcome to the Main Street Cinema, the show where we discuss the finer points in filmmaking. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very highly anticipated show, at least highly anticipated for me to do and go on to record the show. I mean, I'm not sure how many subscribers are, waiting on the edge of their seats for this, but for me, at least, I've been working on this all year. I've been working on and fine-tuning this list, trying to watch as many movies as possible, and I think I've got a solid list of 25. BlueDragonFive's got a solid list of 15, and AdvBlueDude's got a solid list of 10, so that's what we're here to do. What?
No, I just said yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to count down our favorite movies of 2015. I think it should be noted that, it's favorite and not best, because I feel like best is being very objective about it, whereas favorite is being very subjective about it. And, BlueDragonFive, we like Steven Universe, so we're in favor of subjectivity. We think subjectivity should have a play in everything.
And also something else to mention is, a lot of movies have come out this year, and obviously we can't see them all. So if something isn't on the list, then it's not because necessarily we didn't like it, but some cases might be some empty spaces on our list or some movies in place of others because we didn't see it.
I mean, I could definitely, if you want to just very, very quickly go through that, I could list off a few that I didn't get a chance to see. I didn't get a chance to see Creed, which kills me because I do think it probably would have been in my top 10. I actually didn't get a chance to see Dope, which is actually in the little collage image that we see there, or Shaun the Sheep, which I hear is very good. Let's see, any others that I really...
But that's the point. The point is, if there's some things that are on our list, and there are some movies we might kind of run down real quick, it's that we just haven't seen them all.
For sure.
I've been trying
to make a point to see all the movies that are, really worth seeing. In the Oscar season, I don't know, a lot of the movies this Oscar season in particular don't really interest me. There's movies like Joy, Carol, Brooklyn, and they're all just very Oscar-baity movies that just don't attract my attention whatsoever, so I just did not bother with them. I know they're probably going to get a lot of awards attention, but they just did nothing for me in terms of drawing me in to see them.
Burnt.
Burnt is not an Oscar movie.
Well, I'm just saying Burnt was a movie you get to see.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so BlueDragonFive, you have a list of kind of honorable mentions that aren't on any of our lists, but maybe deserve just kind of a shout-out nonetheless. So
yeah, I mean, these aren't really honorable mentions, but more so just kind of getting a feel, put them all in chronological order. So this is what came out and when just kind of get a read on what 2015 was, barring the movies that are on our list. Just kind of listening through the ones that didn't make the cut, but still probably defined the year in terms of what came out. We should kind of roll through.
I mean, I don't think these movies define the year, because I think the movies that define the year are all pretty high up on probably all three of our lists.
But I'm saying this is the insulation for the gold, so to speak. It's the stuff around it that still kind of cushioned our good stuff in between. The stuff we had to kind of hold us off until the really good stuff, so to speak. And some stuff we didn't see, so some stuff would be worth mentioning. I'm going to go through them real quick if you don't mind.
All right.
Okay, so let's start Taken 3, which I only mentioned because I'll say it's disappointing compared to the other two. I'll leave it at that, but I'll also say that people tried to bury this movie because it was a limited release, and it's look on the movies that came out in 2015. You really have to look for it to find this one. Because I remember seeing it in 2015.
Oh, yeah, I remember it coming out. I just had absolutely no interest in seeing it.
Yeah, and it was disappointing, but wasn't the worst thing ever, but it was very disappointing. All right. 50 Shades of Grey, one we mocked during the Super Bowl. One of the God knows how many football things we mocked. 50 Shades of Grey obviously caused a big stir among people who love the book series.
I could honestly just care less about 50 Shades of Grey. It exists. I mean, it's not even a fun bad movie. It's a boring bad movie from what I've heard.
Which is one of the worst sins, really.
Of course.
Okay, then we have Tiki, you don't have any movies about a robot on yours, right?
I have Ex Machina.
Okay.
I have Wally.
I think we all have Wall-E, but we have a movie about certain that begins with a C, right?
A robot that begins with the... Oh, Chappie? No, Chappie is not on my list, no.
Yeah, so there was Chappie that came out. Anything
I can defend Chappie, though. I can defend Chappie. I don't think Chappie is as horrible of a movie as people say it is. I thought there were some...
Trailer looked interesting. Looked very interesting.
Yeah, there were some neat original ideas in there, and I thought that the way that they pulled off the Chappie character, you know, with the all CGI robot, was really convincing. He was, you know, he gained a lot of emotion throughout the movie. The main characters that were the Antwoord or whatever it was, the hip hop band from South America, or South Africa, I should say, they were a mess. They had no idea how to act, and they kind of tanked the movie. But Hugh Jackman was fun as hell. Hugh Jackman was a really fun villain. So I mean, it's low down on my list, but keep in mind, I really don't go out of my way to see movies that I know are going to be bad. You know, I just don't have the time for that. I'm seeing movies that genuinely pique my interest, and through the 35 movies I've seen, it did, you know, I'd still say it was a decent to good movie. So anyways, I'm sorry.
Okay, then there was Cinderella, which is pretty much the movie we saw just to see a Frozen short at the beginning of it. But
I'm honestly surprised that didn't make your top list, BlueDragonFive.
It wasn't. The thing is, I don't hate it, but you know, I can stick with the animated version if I had to pick between two. But I did appreciate the Kenneth Branagh touches applied to it, as we mentioned at length. You know, like the Kenneth Branagh touches were neat. It was kind of neat. It was basically a live action adaptation, but nothing really new or revolutionary was added to it. Which, you know, you can't totally fault him for. It was okay.
I think it was a step in the right direction from the schlock of like Maleficent and Alice in Wonderland and stuff.
I mean,
like
it wasn't bad. That's the important thing. It wasn't bad, and at least they were trying something.
For sure.
Anyways, then we have Ted 2.
I'm sorry. Ted 2 was just a genuinely bad movie in my book.
I will defend Ted 2.
It was okay.
I defend. Obviously, it was a letdown from the first one, but it wasn't the worst thing ever. There were a lot of jokes that flopped, and the third act, I will say, is the worst part of it. The third act is a poorly transitioned to. So I think there's a lot of issues.
I remember nothing from that movie that wasn't already in the marketing. Like, that movie is a total blur to me. It's so forgettable.
Again, it's like Seven Front's editing is again, he's not doing the editing himself, but people as editing for some reason just not making the gags as clever as they were in the first Ted movie. It goes with A Million Ways to Die in the West and Ted 2, but let's not dwell on it.
I thought A Million Ways to Die in the West actually had some really, really inspired sight gags.
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, there are good elements within these movies, they're just not tied together as nice as kind of precisely as they were in the first Ted. But again, Ted 2 had some good moments in it. That's the important part. And it's had some good cameos too. Okay, Pixels.
No comment.
A resounding disappointment.
Pixels, yeah, it was a good concept that just got wasted.
And of course, not the first one to make the concept. And again, that's the issue with it. Seemingly good concept. Like the most enticing Adam Sandler movie in the slew of terrible Adam Sandler movies, the one that made you want to actually see it, but then of course you stop yourself right before you walk through the door. Hopefully.
You know what would have saved this movie is if someone like Michael Gondry would have directed it.
I'll give you that one. All right, Vacation, which just from the get of the minute I heard it announced and heard that they weren't going to have Anthony Michael Hall, and I knew it was doomed from the start. Just like, okay, it's not going to be good. It's trying to bad idea. Try to reboot one of the most beloved kind of movie series of all time.
Yeah, that was painful to even know it existed.
So terrible idea from start to finish. I predicted Hollywood doom, to quote Hollywood Babylon on that. Okay, Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, the movie that we most remember for the Tom Cruise hanging out of the plane thing we saw in the trailer.
I'm totally and completely burned out on these spy action thriller movies. They all just blend together for me, and I have no interest in them anymore.
But again, that was the most impressive thing about the movie in the trailer. So again, I get a sense. I didn't see it myself. I get a sense it wasn't as good as the Brad Bird one before Ghost Protocol.
I would say, I would genuinely like to.
I hear good things about it, though. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it doesn't sound as kind of clever as the Brad Bird one, sound-wise. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so Mission Impossible movies aren't really my bag. So the first one I really saw was the...
I actually do like Mission Impossible 3 for Philip Seymour Hoffman, though.
Yeah. Okay,
Anyways.
so then we have the biggest disappointment of the year, the worst movie of the year. I would attest to.
Fan Four Stick.
Potential. I mean, no. There are some other bad movies we're probably not going to spend much time on, but Fantastic Four is definitely.
Fan Four Stick.
Fan Four Stick is the best film of the year.
All right, fine.
Fan Four Stick.
Unequivocally, it's just yeah.
Again, just the thing we found into granted. The only good thing to say about it is the first act showed promise, but then Act 2 killed it, and Act 3
It killed it. It killed it.
That's what it boils down to. Act 1 potential, 2 was killed it, and 3 was just rushed.
You know what? I think the fact that Act 1 actually did have some potential in it, it actually felt a little bit like Chronicle with a budget, makes the second 2 acts even worse and even more offensive.
Yes, but probably not worth the rating it got, though. I mean, again, that first act did have some good stuff in it. Just want to say, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, Tiki, you there with us?
Yeah.
Making sure it's me.
You can't see me. You can't see me when I'm taking a drink.
Right.
Please just announce it for the future, for future reference.
No, I'm not going to do that every time I take a drink. Okay?
Excuse me, I'm having a drink.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Thank you for your
sorry,
patience.
Morty. I'm sorry, Morty. I just got to get a drink, Morty.
You get
What do you
2
want from me,
goddamn
Morty?
episodes in, and you think you can pull references? No, you don't get that till you're 6. Oh.
We only have 2 left. Can I get through them, please?
Yes.
Okay, Spectre, which is a movie I really wanted to see this year. Again, Christoph Waltz is a Bond villain that was most likely Blofeld. I had no confirmation for that, so not a spoiler. Just
I heard it was lackluster.
I heard it wasn't as impressive as Skyfall, but I still would have liked to see it to make that.
I mean, Skyfall was epic. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'm not a Bond guy, but Skyfall was like probably.
I'm barely
easily
a Bond
the best
guy,
Bond
but
I've ever seen.
I'm barely a Bond guy because there's so many films, but against Skyfall was really excellent.
I mean, I think mostly just for Javier Bardem.
Like the best,
Really, yeah.
best explanation I give is basically the Dark Knight Returns of a Bond film. Really, that's what that film was.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the aging spy story, but
right.
done kind of interesting stuff. Anyway, so Spectre's movie, I still regardless, I want to say I think the marketing was really good on that film. Again, Christoph Waltz as a Bond villain seemed very enticing. I was really curious what direction they're going to go, so hopefully at some point I'll be able to see that. Anyway, last one, the most coveted in my book, the one I most wanted to see this year, a Trumbo. Unfortunately, did not.
Yeah, let's all take a moment of silence for not being able to see this.
This one, this is obviously one of the Oscar bids, and most likely one I would have enjoyed seeing.
I mean, honestly, I think this year is so stacked with freaking DiCaprio and Michael Keaton from Spotlight, and there's so much competition that I think Cranston's going to get lucky to get a nomination. I'm not saying the movie's not good. I'm just saying there's a lot of like very high profile performances this year.
Yeah, but it seemed like the movies has such a good it's such a good biography movie to do because it's on this really interesting thing that happened in about the blacklistings in Hollywood. This guy was an important guy.
Oh, sure, and I'm sure Cranston absolutely.
And it wasn't just to highlight one last thing about it too, from the marketing. And this trailer is all we have to work with. A trailer or two, really. He seems that he's going to play him really interesting. I heard him on Inside the Actors Studio really kind of selling me on the movie even more so. But I had a good supporting cast too. Like I hear John Goodman, Helen Mirren, and Louis C.K. I heard a really excellent supporting cast. That's what I heard. And I heard Kevin Smith was praising John Goodman as he usually does because John Goodman's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But, I hear he was giving a really good performance in that too. Okay, so anyway, I think those kind of a general rundown. Maybe some thoughts.
I'm looking to see. Let's see if there's anything I want to mention. Insidious Chapter 3 was shit.
Okay.
The end.
I want to see it, but I really wish it was funny bad like Insidious 2.
It's just mediocre horror movie bad. It's not funny bad.
I am like the strongest defender for Insidious 2 being the best comedy of 2013.
I know you are. You're very
because it's incredible. It's the best film-going experience I've ever had.
Apparently there was a Hitchcock documentary that kind of went under the radar. That sounds interesting. I always like a good Hitchcock documentary. What was the name of it?
Hitchcock Truffaut.
Yes.
It's about Hitchcock and Truffaut, obviously. But I wish I knew about it, because I would have been all over that.
Yeah, I mean, the two of us just found out about it today, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I would have liked to see that. Okay, so overall, I mean, 2015 seemed like, again, well, the movies we're going to talk about really kind of define it there, but it's the cushioning of 2015. A lot of bad, but, some glimmers of potential hope. Again,
I
unfortunately,
don't
movies we didn't
necessarily.
see.
2015 definitely wasn't as good of a movie year as 2014. I think
I agree.
2014 had a lot of heavy hitters.
Yeah.
Yeah, 14, I think 6, I'll save it for the end, I'm sorry. But overall, though, before we kind of get into it, I mean, 15, though, had just these great kind of, like, amongst darkness. Some of these movies were really bad this year. Some of them were.
And
But
some of them were just straight up kind of lackluster.
it was either disappointing
expecting.
or bad for the cushioning, for the most part. Again, aside from films we didn't see. But, I mean, with that, though, we had these huge spires of light of really good filmmaking, of just really excellent films here and there. I mean, which of the films we're going to be talking about? I think they're really excellent. And with that said, maybe we should run them down.
Okay, so like we said, I have the top 25, which I will run down as quickly as I can until we get to BlueDragonFive's top 15, and then BlueDragonFive and I will kind of like go back and forth. And then once we hit the top 10, we will, all three of us, kind of go round robin, listing off our top 10.
Yes.
So with that in mind, are you guys ready to find out my number 25 movie of the year?
All ears.
The Midwest in Panel!
Yay!
Wow.
I mean, seriously, check out this art. It's great. Okay, just some background on this. This is a documentary done by Captain Logan of the Geekvolution channel. It's just a very, very, it's a very independent, low-key thing. It's just him and some buddies going around the Midwest, visiting comic shops. But the really cool thing about this documentary, the thing that I really attached to, was just how much it illustrates the culture. It illustrates a very specific culture of not just comic book fans, but comic book fans from the Midwest, and how they kind of come together, and how, and how they're different quirks. And it also, BlueDragonFive, you've seen this, right?
Yes, I have. I was one of the investors on this, actually.
Right on. You want to kind of talk about some of the really cool, different styles of comic book shops that they go to?
Yes, you go to, you get a real sense of kind of all over the place. So, like, you get to the real big, I want to say, not King Comics, but, you go over the place and you're like some huge comic shops that really started from something small and became something much larger. And kind of basically, like Midwest Comics, obviously being one of them. Basically, like, the comic shops that have grown so big, like, you read like a DC or a Marvel comic, you're going to see an advertisement for them inside the actual book. I mean, these aren't just your neighborhood stores. I mean, they start off as something small, but it becomes so iconic, and they kind of go through that in the film. And one thing I'll highlight for you here is that, with Midwest in Panel, there's a really great framing device. I'm not going to say what it is here. I think we should keep this spoiler-free, this discussion we're having here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But I think there's an excellent framing device for a character who's within this.
Oh yeah.
And also, there's a mention of this man in Super Academy also at the end of their first episode.
Right.
So the point is, he was a very important figure. Again, I believe he was the one who had the shop that kind of grew beyond his expectations, which was it's a story about people. It's a people who love something, but also have kind of share that love with other people. There's some really charming stories, and I think it's. Captain Logan did a really good job.
All right, fair enough. So my number 24 movie of the year is da 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 da. All right.
They do move in herds.
All right. So Jurassic World, it wasn't the movie I was hoping it would be, but it was the fan-pleasing experience I hoped it would be. I mean, I'll just leave it at that. I don't really have a ton to say about it. It certainly doesn't hold up for me in terms of, like, having really memorable characters or a strong story arc or anything like that. But I was in heaven those first 20 minutes. I got to see a fully realized, fully functioning Jurassic Park theme park, and there's certain elements in this movie that really do work for me. B.D. Wong kind of being the shady, like, mad scientist type.
Soon to be Hugo Strange.
Right. I actually do think the Indominus Rex was a really good villain. I I like how a lot of the dinosaurs were used. I love how the theme park element was used in the movie. I don't necessarily think any of the lead actors were great at all. Like I think even Chris Pratt is kind of bland.
I disagree with that.
I know you disagree. I know, because it's just Chris Pratt, so by default you have to. I don't know.
No, but I think there's this really I think there's a really great part with him in the movie too in the beginning. But
Was it when he was like really loud and almost childish?
no. No,
Believe it or not, I really like Chris Pratt, but he's typecast.
No, I like Chris Pratt too, but yeah, like you said, he's absolutely typecast, and I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right, so is that all we have to say about Jurassic World for the time being?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
for the time
dinosaurs.
being.
Okay, my number 23 movie of the year is The Martian. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to like this movie more than I did, but it ended up kind of just being like, I heard so many good things about it before going in that I feel like I just kind of unfortunately set my expectations a bit too high. Because at the end of the day, it's just kind of a feel-good story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my problem with it, because like it's a great movie and it really captures like the essence and tone of the book.
Sure.
It's a feel-good movie because like they cut out literally like every tough thing that happened in the book.
But that sucks. That
Like
sucks.
in the book, Watney.
Because I genuinely wanted it to be like a hardcore survival story, and I thought the movie was a little too lighthearted for its own good.
The book in tone is still very comedy. It's very comedy-ish, but it has like very serious moments. But like my main problem with it was that they cut like a ton of stuff. Like in the book, Watney loses contact with NASA again, and then he makes the trek to like the lander alone without guidance from NASA. So like that happens, and he crashes the rover towards the end, which never happens in the movie. Like it's hello Facebook. A ton of things. Things. It's fine.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
There's like a ton of things happen in the book that don't happen in the movie, and it really it makes it the stakes are lower because of it, and it's not quite as it's more definite how the movie's gonna end.
Right.
As
Yeah.
the movie goes on.
Exactly. It's very kind of just meddling in terms of like, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, like honestly, like that's what I liked about the book is that like good things happen, but then like they just stopped being good. So like it's still like he's gonna get home in the end anyway. But spoilers. But like in the movie, like as soon as he gets in contact with NASA, like how it's gonna end. Because nothing changes. It just stagnates.
And I also just thought, like, the honest trailers for this movie was spot on in terms of, like, you're going to see math, and more math, and even more math. And just when you thought you had enough math, there's even more math.
That's not a bad thing, though, because that's what the book is. And actually...
But having said that, just to kind of wrap it up, I do think it's a well-made movie. I think Matt Damon gives a very good performance. I think the film looks really good. The supporting cast, Jeff Daniels gives a really good supporting role. But overall, it doesn't really stick to landing for me. It just ends up kind of being just a sappy, like, feel-good movie with a lot of the mismatched tone in my eyes.
Oh, one other thing that pissed me off about this movie. They Anglicanized Vincent Kapoor.
What?
In Vincent Kapoor,
what's the term Anglicanized? What is it?
Anglicanized? Like in the book, his name is Venkat.
Oh.
And they Anglicanized it to Vincent and made him half Indian, which doesn't quite make sense to me. And like usually that doesn't bother me. It was just stupid and pointless. There was no point to them doing that. They could have gotten any Indian actor, but no, we need Chiwetel Ejiofor. So there was that.
Okay.
All right. So my number, what is this? Number 21?
23.
Are you sure?
Okay, well, we went through, okay, so there's Jurassic World, and then the first
Oh, I'm sorry, this is 22.
22. The SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. Okay, now this is the most deceptive poster, and like the advertising campaign in general is deceptive as hell because the 3D stuff is fun. It's fine. It's probably the most mediocre thing of the movie. But it only literally takes up the last 12 or 15 minutes of the movie. Beyond that, what this movie is basically like an hour-long, feature-length, movie-budget SpongeBob episode in the classic style with Steven Hillenburg back as kind of like the, the captain in charge. And it's wonderful. It's genuine, classic, funny, true, off-the-wall SpongeBob at its best. And I don't know, I don't think it's quite as good as the SpongeBob movie, the original one, but I think it's up there. I do think it's up there. It's a really good return to form for SpongeBob.
It's definitely number 2 in ranking of SpongeBob movies.
Like the Krusty Krab, too.
Oh, dear God. AdvBlueDude, do you see it?
No, I didn't. I wanted to. I'll see it at some point.
I would have liked to see to kind of give it a judgment, just because, again, hearing Steven Hillenburg's come back for it does sound very hopeful. And again, I did like the first SpongeBob movie, and again, Hillenburg's SpongeBob was great. And I'm the guy who's watched a majority of these SpongeBobs after, like, pretty much like I guess I'm not caught up because I've just given up hope at this point with it.
There's no point. There's no point in catching up.
I've watched a large majority of it though after that, and basically I've seen it at its worst, and I know like how absolutely terrible it is. Now I would like a refreshing breath of good SpongeBob, assuming that's the case.
Watch this then, because that's exactly what you're describing.
When I have access, I'll be able to
SpongeBob.
Yes.
Okay, so my number 21 pick is probably the most disturbing movie of the year. The Stanford Prison Experiment.
Ooh, what's this about, Tiki?
AdvBlueDude, you had an reaction. Are you familiar with it?
Well, no, I thought you were gonna say 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay, this was a movie that was based on a real psychological experiment that happened in the 70s, where they took 12 it was all done by college students.
Oh wait, I remember this experiment. I remember.
They made half of them guards and half of them inmates.
Yeah, half of them guards, half of them inmates, and then the guards were just told to do whatever they needed to keep the peace.
Yeah.
And shit gets really fucked up really fast.
I remember the black and white footage of that one.
This movie is disturbing as all hell. It really, really gets under your skin. It's super intense. It's basically a horror movie.
Wow.
And I mean, it's riveting. It's absolutely riveting. It's just not the kind of movie I would want to watch more than once. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But oh man, I don't even want to spoil anything about what goes down. I mean, if you know about the experiment, let me say this: if you know about the experiment and you know about how the experiment went down and kind of like the different stages of the experiment, then this movie does stay very, very faithful to the story. It stays, like, in fact, they actually have, like, real testimonials from some of the people at the end of the movie that were lifted directly from documentaries and stuff like that. So, like, there's a lot of, a lot of dialogue in this movie is just lifted directly from what was recorded in the actual experiments. So it's intense, man. It's super intense, but it's a damn good movie. I give it a lot of props.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Like a toaster? No.
Yes. Ignore that. I'm sorry.
You gotta pull that up again. I always forget about it, but it's spectacular.
All right, number
Fucking
20 of the year,
2001.
just to start things off on a light, breezy note. Yeah.
Wow, no shield, no armor, no problem. Even though he
I've
technically has armor.
never seen this poster before. That's awesome.
Really, you haven't?
No, I've never seen this one before.
He technically wears armor, and that bothers me.
Well, no, it's not armor. It's a motorcycle suit, remember?
I mean, it's still sort of armor.
It's not exactly. It's not bulletproof. You can get.
All right.
Well, I mean, is Iron Man's bulletproof?
Yes.
That's Iron Man's bulletproof.
Have you tried?
Well, I've seen people shoot at him, and to no avail.
Were you there?
I wasn't there.
Then
No.
you don't know, really. Honestly. This is why I read DC. It's simpler.
All right, so Ant-Man, it still has a lot of the Edgar Wright qualities I was hoping for this movie to have. especially in the Michael Pena character and how all those characters kind of interact. But I mean, it's fun. I think it's one of the more forgettable of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, but it's definitely got its moments. It's definitely got its heartfelt things attached to it. Shoot, I'm not doing a good job explaining this. Michael Douglas is fantastic in this movie, and he basically carries the movie for me.
Oh yeah.
Dragon.
Well, I really love this film. I really do. I think it kind of embodies what I think it embodies kind of the Marvel Comics on film in many respects. I think it's kind of it feels so much like opening a Marvel comic and reading it on screen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun elements to it. It's definitely got a lot of fun set pieces, like the bathtub and the train sequence.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Damn it.
Well, jeez.
Yeah.
What?
Jesus.
But
step up your train game, bro. I'm so sorry.
Step up your train game, bro. Wow.
No, but seriously, it's a good movie. It's a solid movie. It's really fun.
BlueDragonFive, you see it?
No, I haven't. I've been meaning to.
Okay, fair enough.
I didn't see it because I heard kind of mediocre things, but then I've been told it's very good.
Yeah, just give it a shot. It's definitely worth seeing. If you don't love it, you're gonna think it's fun. Though. I think you're gonna enjoy it regardless.
I mean, I've been meaning to see it. I just haven't actually. Someday.
It's in my top 20, so I think it's definitely a very good movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I don't think it's like one of the best of the MCU. I think the best of the MCU is Guardians of the Galaxy by a pretty long stretch in my humble opinion.
Obviously, but you know.
Yeah. But okay, so are you guys ready for my my number 19 pick?
Sure.
We're going through these pretty fast, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number 19 pick is... Yeah.
This is a great one.
Is this on Amazon Prime yet?
It's on. I know it's on demand now, but I don't know.
Which demand?
It's last time I checked, I think it's on. I think it's on Stars. Check Stars.
Is it on iTunes at least?
Oh, it's probably on iTunes, yeah.
Okay, because I remember checking it like right after it came out. It wasn't.
Thing is, you gotta check Netflix too. It might be on one of those. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be on iTunes, but I get the Blu-ray DVD thing of it, so
yeah,
that's what I go to. For a time, it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been looking forward to this documentary for a number of years because I've listened to John Schnepp, the director, on AMC and now Collider Movie Talk. And this was like his pet project, and he spent a number of years making this, and it really turned out great. I thought this documentary was... Now, granted, I think one criticism people have with that I agree with it to a certain extent is I don't necessarily think this movie did the best job of explaining exactly what happened production-wise with Superman. I think what this movie does... and I think I give it a lot of credit in this regard, is the main objective of this movie, kind of the mission statement of the movie, was for John Schnepp to kind of tell you, like, yeah, on paper, Nicolas Cage, like, look at this ridiculous picture of Nicolas Cage as Superman. I am going to, through this film, show you how the death of Superman lives, or, I'm sorry.
Superman Lives.
Superman Lives. I'm going to show you how Superman Lives could have been a really awesome superhero film. So I love that about the documentary, how it's basically just a what if. You know what I mean? It's like a what if for a superhero movie that was never made, but there was a lot of reported things about it. I mean, this movie got chronicled pretty heavily in Kevin Smith's original Evening with Kevin Smith, for starters, you know. So it's been floating around the Hollywood circuit for a while, and it's nice to see some full-blown kind of documented just action on it. But one of the other things is John Peters. BlueDragonFive, please speak about John Peters for a little bit.
So John Peters, as Tiki is going to draw on the comparison, is a very accurate comparison. He's kind of like in Waking Sleeping Beauty, how Jeffrey Katzenberg's portrayed as. You know, he's kind of the he's kind of a love-hate figure in terms of he's the quasi-villain of the piece, but he's kind of inept to a point. Like he's not inept. He's like semi-crazy. In this case, he's semi-crazy. You know, it's that he, you know, he's this figure who has the best of intentions for this project. He does, and he's all gung ho about making a Superman movie. This is the guy that he made Batman in 1989 version of Batman, but he's an unreliable narrator. Like we know there are certain parts of what he's saying here that aren't true. That of course we've seen the evening with Kevin Smith. Where he gives us the story, which again is a huge stake in how this movie got made. Without that, you don't have all the intricate details. It gives John Schnepp a direction to go in here for the film. Mm-hmm. And with that, I mean, John Pierce's always been kind of established. He was just kind of the ominous figure in that story of like just this absurd man, and you get to see that absurd man finally on screen. You get to make the judgment call for yourself. Like, how crazy is this guy? I mean, you got to put in perspective of time too. Like, how much has he lost it since then? How much is he taking? It's like a new perspective on things. You never thought of like this guy actually. Oh, he has a point in some aspects. In some aspects, you know he's lying. So he's a very fascinating, unreliable narrator in many respects.
Exactly.
And again, he never did like he doesn't anything he does isn't out of malice or out of just being. It's just he doesn't get it. You know, he's an innocent in that regard.
Yeah, it's a very, very good documentary. AdvBlueDude, I'd actually very much compare it to Jodorowsky's Doom.
I need to see that as well.
Wait, is that out?
Oh, it's been out for a while.
Wait, is it the Fantastic Four one?
No.
Oh, never mind. Then I thought
Jodorowsky's Doom. No, it's about Alejandro Jodorowsky, who is an Argentinian director who was gonna make Dune, and then David Lynch took it.
Oh, it sounds interesting.
And made Dune. But he's like a really famous in circles, like psychedelic filmmaker from the 60s. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the Fantastic Four thing. It's kind of going to be in the spirit of this movie in many respects.
Yeah, it's kind of becoming like a genre of documentary in a way.
I would love to see more documentaries in this style, I must say. I thought it was very, very good. It was excellent.
One of the best points I can make for this documentary is the way that they use that Nicolas Cage photograph and how it kind of comes back thematically.
Oh yeah, there is a great use of concept art and some replication of concept art, and previously they were allowed to go through the archives of what was available here. And again, they made all their Schnepp made all of his funding here, so he basically got to do everything he set out to do. I mean, barring, I guess Nicolas Cage said no. I believe he said no to the interview. So you don't. Nicolas Cage has a presence within the movie because of that stuff. So he is all throughout the movie in many respects without actually giving an interview.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is very much kind of like an unspoken figure, but
it's kind of like how Wake and Sleep movie uses archival footage. The whole thing's using archival stuff. None of it's new, except for I assume the audio.
Sure. Okay. I apologize. I'm just trying to find the poster for.
Well, you're off the visuals.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to write down my list on paper so that I didn't have to keep switching between Facebook. So
okay,
it's okay. How's everyone doing tonight? You guys having a great night? That's good.
So y'all like movies out there?
Yeah, you guys watch movies this year? I watched a few. I
also watched a few.
So Tiki, did you watch movies this year?
I watched 34 movies this year.
Great, so we're all in agreement. We've all watched films.
Watched about like 18 or 20 last year.
All the movies I watch are old because film school.
Well, film school is pretty awesome.
So I'm sure I've beaten you in the numbers, but new movie numbers, absolutely not.
I mean new movies is what I meant by 20. I mean, I've seen like a ton of movies.
Yeah.
Okay, I have it. So I'm sorry, folks. Without further ado, my number 18 pick is It Follows. This is a genuinely goddamn good inspired horror movie. It really gets under your skin. It's not really gory at all. It's not violent. It's just creepy. It's just creepy as hell.
The Tim Curry clown's following her the whole movie?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
No.
He's not even doing the it voice. He's just doing like that weird Tim Curry snarl.
Do you float? I was wondering if you float.
Oh god, oh god. No, but I don't have a ton to say about this movie. I think visually it's very, very well shot. I mean, the whole premise is just that this thing that follows you around, it could be anyone. Like, it takes the forms of all these different people that will just try to kill you. So it could be just a random person on the street. It could be someone that it could be your best friend in the room. It's kind of like The Thing in that way. Except there's no real elaborate special effects. It's just the people. But the atmosphere that this movie creates is one that, when the main character is walking down the street and you see people in the background, you are paranoid out of your mind. You are paranoid out of your mind for every single goddamn person that they're going to come and just kill her. So it's very well done in that regard. And the ending is a straight-up homage to the ending of The Graduate, and I love it. I love that.
Simon and Garfunkel and all, please?
I don't
Probably
know.
not.
Visually, it's very much in the same way that Spider-Man 2 was an homage to the ending of The Graduate. Much in that.
Yeah, I know. I was just hoping that it would be like this horror movie, and then they get on a bus, and Mrs. Robinson starts playing.
And the Punisher's there too. The Punisher's just casually walking by him.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting close to 15. So my number 17 of the year is Scario. This movie was honestly kind of a disappointment because it was directed by the same guy who directed Prisoners and Enemy.
I like Prisoners.
Jesus, he has a quick turnaround.
Yeah, he does.
No,
he does.
Was Prisoners was last year, right?
No, Prisoners was 2013.
Yeah.
Enemy
Was it 2013?
Enemy was 2014.
Yes. Yeah, he does.
Prisoners ended up in my top 5 of 2013. Enemy ended up in my top 10 of 2014. So this movie, I feel like by raising the scale of what the director's trying to do, I feel like he kind of lost some focus because Prisoners is a very intimate kind of a film. It's just very much following these couple of families and how this is affecting their lives. And same thing goes for Enemy. Enemy is basically just following Jake Gyllenhaal around the whole movie. This raises the scale in terms of it's basically about the entire Mexican cartel. Benicio del Toro is definitely the standout. He has, he's just a really cool kind of I don't even want to describe his character because it's kind of a spoiler what he is to begin with. But
is he Mexican?
It seems like cool guy with sunglasses. That's what I'm seeing.
Yes,
that's Josh. Is that Benicio del Toro?
No,
That's Josh Brolin.
That's Josh Brolin.
Oh,
He's the guy at the bottom. He's the man
guy with
guns.
really awesome looking gun.
Yeah, Josh Brolin is honestly a little forgettable in this movie. Emily Blunt's fine, but Del Toro absolutely steals the show. It's atmospheric, it's dark, it's got a really powerful kind of poetic, fucked up ending to it. But overall, it's definitely not in the same league as his other 2 movies that were released the following last year. So it's not great, but it's good enough to make my top 20 at least. So I'll give it some credit. All right, my number 16 of the year is da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Seriously, I love this poster. I just found this on Google.
Looks like a fan poster.
I'm sure it's a fan poster.
Looks like he's modeling for Dynaco.
Arlo was the actual spokesperson for Dynaco, and that's how the Good Dinosaurs fits into the Pixar theory. There we go. This movie gets a bad rap, and I think that's kind of a shame. It's a mixed bag, and I think the plot is very much kind of like a standard cookie cutter, you're gonna make your mark on the tree, son, as long as you go through an adventure and have some peril and whatnot.
Is it better than Brave?
It lives up to its namesake. It's good.
It's better than
But
Brave.
it's a dinosaur.
Oh.
Yes, it's dinosaur. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's good. Good.
I would say it's better than Brave.
Okay. If it's
I
better
would
than
say it's
Brave,
better
I'm
than
perfectly fine
Monsters
with it.
University, Cars
Really?
2. Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't go that far.
I really like
over
Monsters
2,
University.
over Cars 2, yeah, Monsters University, I might.
Monsters University is just so goddamn derivative to me. I feel the exact same way about Monsters University that Doug Walker does.
I disagree.
I'm sorry.
So do
You
I.
can disagree all you want. It's a very derivative movie to me.
I mean, like, Monsters University is very, like... I can't think of the word because it's 12:30. It's like a lot of other movies, but I really think it's good because, like, it really starts... It's really the point where Pixar started getting back to what Pixar was before Cars 2.
I think University's fine. I
So
like
what?
it. You know, I always kind of view it's Pixar's first prequel. It's kind of some novelty there, but also you got some great.
Monsters University is literally an extremely goofy movie of Pixar.
I
It is-
wouldn't say that.
That's what Monsters University is. That's how derivative it is.
No,
I wouldn't say that.
Come on, it's like you get to explore other facets of the monster universe. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never
Okay,
see
anyways,
Monsters
Good
Anyway,
Dinosaur.
Good Dinosaur.
I think Good Dinosaur had really damn good world building, and that's something that nobody's giving this movie credit
It was
for.
a very creative film.
I thought this movie was honestly better than Avatar in terms of like creating like a really fascinating kind of ecosystem built kind of from the ground up based on this hypothetical scenario of the dinosaurs surviving longer.
It's definitely the most. It's kind of potentially the most. I don't know if violence is the right word, but you know, a lot of not. I don't know if dark's the right word. It's
Dark is the right word. Yeah, it's surprisingly
like
dark.
it's kind of the Bambi of the Pixar films in some respects.
I would say so, yeah, because there isn't a lot of dialogue. When there is dialogue, it's mostly kind of just standard cutesy exposition for the most part. And yeah, and there's I think it's a very underrated movie, and I think the only reason that people are giving it shit is because Inside Out came out the same year, and Inside Out is not only. I don't even want to talk about Inside Out right now.
Basically, they come up with a solid product, but it's overshadowed by the phenomenal product.
Totally. Okay, and I guess hold on, let me check my good day. Okay, BlueDragonFive. Anything else to say about?
Well, you know, I'll get to some thoughts a little later.
Okay. So, my number 15, and then BlueDragonFive, you can get to your number 15. My number 15 is M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong's The Visit.
Do you know what he's doing now?
What is he doing?
He's bringing back Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, get out of here! Are you serious?
Yeah, for TNT. I read it today.
Wow.
That's my announcement of the night. I wanted to see this. It looked pretty okay, and I heard it was.
This was the M. Night Shyamalan comeback movie, in my humble opinion. This was about as good or on the same level as. Yeah, I don't want to say it's on the same level as something like Signs or The Sixth Sense. It's not. But having said that, I think it's probably the next level up, the next level down from something like that.
Okay.
It's a very creative use of found footage. I thought the found footage was handled very nicely. Just in general, it just builds. I remember having a great theater experience in this movie. I remember the audience just absolutely being on the edge of their seat, and the comedy in this movie hits. It totally hits. So this movie it's not necessarily a horror comedy. It is more of a horror than a comedy. But the comedy elements are in there, and when they work fantastically, in my opinion. And overall, that whole thing, that mix of like this weird, almost awkward and uncomfortable kind of humor, mixed with the whole premise of like the grandparents just going senile and acting batshit crazy, it's an entertaining good time, man. I mean, it's not the most serious movie in the world, it's not the most high art movie in the world, but it's fucking good. It's a really, really damn entertaining movie. I genuinely very much enjoyed it. Okay. All right, BlueDragonFive, I believe now we can get to your number 15.
All right, my number 15 was, just to kind of go through quickly, it was Jurassic World.
Jurassic World, okay.
Yeah, I haven't really been the biggest Jurassic Park franchise fan up until this year. I mean, I checked it, I watched the first movie. Yeah, it's been ages since you've seen it. It never really grabbed me as a kid, so I watched it, and there were a lot of good things with the original Jurassic Park, so I think I had kind of a good window there. I know from like reviews and Nostalgia Critic kind of the premise of 2 and 3, so I got the broad strokes in those two. I got a really good view on the first one. Kind of get the majesty of Jurassic Park, and seeing in Jurassic World, I think captured that magic. I think it captured that magic well in many respects. And again, there were a lot of cool elements. Don't get me wrong, far from a perfect movie. There were some gaping plot holes in the beginning, most definitely. But I mean, there were some cool moments. My favorite moment from that movie probably is I love it when Chris Pratt he's running out of the Indominus' enclosure. I guess he's like hiding under the truck. And
Oh yeah, and you know what's so great about that moment is that is one of the few times where they actually use an animatronic.
Yeah, I mean, that was just my favorite. That is my favorite part of that movie. My favorite aspect with Chris Pratt's character. I mean, I like him because he's the guy poking holes in everyone's logic there in terms of like, you guys know this is a bad idea. I kind of like the way they wrote his character in that respect. I like how he was like the smart guy, and they're kind of pointing out the obvious, these guys, and like he's acknowledging, they're all kind of acknowledging, he and the kids, I guess, in some aspects, are acknowledging kind of the failings of the park in the past.
Yeah, definitely.
And don't worry, unfortunately, Bryce Dallas Howard, she was kind of a letdown in the movie.
Oh, I knew she was going to sink that. I called that like months in advance. I called that. That's
unfortunate. I like her too. That's what kind of bummed me out a bit too. But
I knew from the trailers that her delivery was just going to be off. I could just feel it.
Let me regardless, I'm kind of piggybacking off what you said. It's a fun experience, and again, I think there were some interesting ideas all throughout the movie. And B.D. Wong was also really cool there with like his little outro, but I won't.
I think D'Onofrio was absolutely fucking wasted.
That's the thing. Again,
totally wasted. It was like a nothing villain. Anyone could have played that villain.
That's another thing. It's like, again, some ideas are put into play, but again, they just really weren't. Nothing was really done with them. Again, D'Onofrio's thing too didn't help.
For the life of me, I really, 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 really don't want the next Jurassic Park movie to be about the militarization of dinosaurs.
Well, we'll see how things go.
I know.
I don't know.
You don't want to see Jurassic War, do you?
No, I don't. When it gets off of the island, then it just becomes a whole different thing. Then it just becomes like sci-fi.
Or Jurassic Zone.
Oh God, no. Let's not even talk about.
But Jurassic World is a lead-up. The title
Jurassic
is foreshadowing because it will become a Jurassic World.
Or Jurassic Universe.
The island. Yes.
Or
oh my God.
A Jurassic World War.
The dinosaurs go to space. They start colonizing.
Oh no!
It's great. They learn to work together rather than work against each other.
You're literally killing my childhood, BlueDragonFive.
Or the one where they.
I'll stream it on your desk in 2 weeks.
Or the one where they cross over with what's the one with Whoopi Goldberg? Not
Stargate.
No,
the go through the Stargate.
The one where she's partnered with. Remember the one where she's partnered with the T-Rex? Like, they're gonna call that crossover. They're gonna call that. They're gonna call that one Jurassic World.
What the hell is the name of that movie?
It's like Theodore Rex or something.
Yes.
So the crossover between those two, it's going to be called Jurassic Word.
But it's like a really grisly version of that. Like Whoopi Goldberg's like old and she's lost an arm, and like the T-Rex is just—he's not funny anymore. He's just really angry.
She hits it with a cane constantly.
He smokes comically large cigars because he can't handle the small ones because he's too big. It's great.
Point is, Jurassic World. It was fun. Again, not being too familiar with the Jurassic franchise, it was a fun new experience for me.
The only thing from Jurassic Park 2 or 3 that you need to know is the fact that the Spinosaurus is the skeleton that's out in the Main Street area, and the T-Rex smashes the shit out of the Spinosaurus in the final climax.
Right.
Which is awesome.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Anyways, my number 14 of the year. I'm sure this will be much higher on AdvBlueDude's list, but oops. Wow, did I accidentally just close it?
No, I think you switched it.
I
I
don't know
didn't
what
see
you
it if
said.
you and see if you did. Now it's lost forever.
Yeah.
Do 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 do
Wow.
do.
Do
Tiki
do do
blues and
do.
stuff and
There are
Barbados.
dinosaurs. Fucking
Okay.
dinosaurs.
Okay, let's not go there. Come on.
Well, I didn't say they were. I'm just saying, like, it's an exclamatory.
I think
It's like saying, holy shit, there's fucking dinosaurs.
I think you have that one, Tiki.
What?
I think you have the one you're looking for, but let's just keep looking for it now.
Well, I've
There
got
it
it.
is.
Guess
Hold
what
on.
it is, folks? Guess what it is?
It's the end of the tour, ladies and gentlemen, with Jason Segel and Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah.
I like they can just tell by the silhouette who the other person is.
I know, right?
Oh, Jason Segel has a ponytail?
Yeah, Jason Segel has a ponytail in this movie,
Wow.
and he absolutely transforms himself. Like you
Oh my
can't
God.
tell.
Well,
You can't tell it's him. You
what's
can't
Plays
tell
it
it's
so
him.
well.
Yeah,
He
what's
even
the-
looks really similar to David Foster
Uh-huh.
Wallace.
Yeah, what's the basis of this movie? What's it about?
Adventure Blue Dude?
So David Foster Wallace in 1996, I believe, it was sometime in the 90s. He wrote a
Something
book
like
called
that.
Infinite. He wrote a book called Infinite Jest. Essentially, David Foster Wallace was like this really reclusive writer who worked at a community college. I don't think it was a community college, but he worked as like a creative writing professor in a college in like middle fucking nowhere Illinois. So essentially, he's just like trying to hide himself while like gaining fame. And then Jesse Eisenberg's character, whose name I forgot,
His name is also David.
yes,
That's
Jesse
not confusing at
Eisenberg
all.
playing
I
David
know.
is he's a Rolling Stone reporter, and he goes out to Illinois to interview David Foster Wallace as he goes and follow him as he like finishes his book tour for Infinite Jest. And it's a lot about that, and it's an interesting character study on David Foster Wallace.
The crux of the story, I would say, is the relationship between the interviewer and the interviewee.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it gets into some really fascinating dynamics where David and David are genuinely bonding with each other and genuinely getting to know and connect with each other, but at the same time, the reporter he has an agenda, and David Foster Wallace knows he has an agenda, and the reporter knows that Foster Wallace knows that he has an agenda. So there's all these deep layers to the conversations that they're having. You know what I mean? It's never just like a simple one-on-one. There's always like these extra seeds of like levels of paranoia and whatnot. But yeah, the best thing I can give to this movie, the reason why this movie is on my list is, I mean, Jason Segel he knocks it out of the goddamn park.
He's absolutely incredible.
I mean, I don't necessarily think this movie is like the most well-directed movie or anything like that.
No,
It doesn't have any flashy moments of cinematography that I can remember.
But
or anything
it's
like
not
that.
a movie that's supposed to.
I know.
Like, I mean,
but-
like, at its core, it's a character.
Look, I'm just saying that's the reason why it's not in my top 10, because I'm a very visual guy. But
I get that.
But no, I mean, just in terms of the dynamics and the performance of Segel, it's way worth seeing for sure. Okay, BlueDragonFive, I do think you'd really enjoy it. Anyways,
You should absolutely watch it.
yeah. Anyways, BlueDragonFive, what is your number 14?
Yeah, my number 14 is Bat Kid Begins. This is a
Bat Kid
documentary
Begins.
based on Miles Scott. I believe that's the child's name. Miles Scott, who was a famous case of there he is. In San Francisco, there was this. Well, not in San Francisco. Basically this is the big event where San Francisco was transformed to Gotham City for a child who, as part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation thing, which thankfully has a happy ending. The kid's in remission for the last time I heard. Basically his wish was to become Batman. Obviously, you imagine it's kind of some questions raised there, but the Make-A-Wish people made that happen. This documents that in a very many emotional parts of this movie, really heart-tugging. It's very pure. It's a feel-good movie. It really is, but in a good way. I mean, there are some emotional parts, and really just I only wish they took a little more liberties with the presentation, but otherwise it's very, it's very solid. And it kind of touches the Batman fan inside me. It just kind of gets to the moments like when you're a kid. When I was falling in love with Batman the animated series, it kind of takes those moments like you imagine being Batman. It's like this kid has the heart of wanting to become Batman, just like wanting to do the things Batman does. He has some genuine Batman moments. It's amazing,
cool.
like
That's cool.
of wanting to like help people, and that just really touches me. And
Nice,
the bond, and there's a really emotional story. I'm not going to tell you the specifics of it, but it's Bat-Kid and a full-size Batman. That's the idea. So you actually have him looking at Batman. They kind of play with I guess to help the kid with like a POV type thing, just in case like he wanted to also have Batman there beside him. So there's a Batman going along with him. This guy has a great story with him there. Like you get to talk to the guy. It's like they all walk you through the experience of the day and what it took to set up.
Well,
and
that
all
sounds really interesting. So it's all framed around one day.
It's all framed. It all builds to one day.
Okay. I really like that idea as a framing device.
And they talk about the day as it goes on too, but you get to see the day play because they recorded it, and they all the stuff, and it's really interesting stuff. And there's like this other guy in there who like he's like I guess like tweeting it. Like live tweeting. He has a really interesting story too, of like him kind of following the event and getting like the most followed Twitter thing ever, and like getting repeats by him too. And like I mean, he's for the day, like it's like he's Point is like the guy that is the actual Batman. He has some hard time and stuff too, where he like taught the kids some moves under the guise of who he met him before he donned the suit. And so like the kid would maybe be partially familiar with him, but at least he would train him in some fighting moves and stuff, and like some acrobatics, some low-level acrobatics. So later on, let's just say there's some really great payoffs with this, like the kid just kind of oddly recognizing this man. It's really charming. It's very good.
Okay.
Actually, I recommend it to anyone. It's not about the darkness of Batman for once. It's kind of like about a mix between Batman as a broad character, also a bit of like 60s Adam West Batman. In a good way. It's like the kid, obviously, as you can see, the kid's dressed like Christian Bale, Nolan Batman, but he has the heart of a 60s Batman. It's really touching.
Sure. All right, yeah, sounds like one I should check out. Okay, my number, let's see, what are we on right now? We are on, this 13. Is my number 14, I believe.
Yeah?
No.
Wait, no. Is it 13?
Are we only on 14?
Okay. Good Dinosaur. Hold on. Let's see. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14. We're on number 13. I apologize.
Yeah. Okay, 13.
13. The Gift. Oh, yeah. Just look at that poster. It's a very striking poster. This is the directorial debut of Joel Edgerton, and he does a really damn good job. This is straight up like a John Carpenter style, thriller, straight out of, it feels like it's out of the 1970s or something like that. It's basically it's essentially, I'll try to explain the plot, not giving anything away, but BlueDragonFive, if you like seeing Jason Bateman suffer and seeing Jason Bateman have his life just thrown out from under him, then
just because I don't like a majority of Jason Bateman's performance doesn't mean I want to see him suffer, okay?
Well, this is a movie to watch. Because Jason Bateman goes through hell in this movie. Essentially, Joel Edgerton, he plays a very, very fascinating character who's essentially like a loose connection that Jason Bateman had in high school, but as the movie goes on, we find out that it wasn't so much a friendship and more it was kind of Jason Bateman sort of, taking the guy under his wing, but then kind of like antagonizing and bullying him behind his back. And so the movie then kind of becomes like this revenge thing, and I don't really want to spoil too much more, but it just, again, it's very trippy, very much gets in your head. It's just three people. It's a three-person cast. It's very small, very intimate, but it's a lot of good use of symbols. Like, there's a monkey mask in this movie that's just, like, a very, very creepy symbol, like one of the most important symbols of the film. But overall, I mean, I don't know, like, I don't necessarily, this is where the list comes in, like, I don't necessarily know if I would consider it a better movie than End of the Tour, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely within my top 15 of the year.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, my number 13 then?
Your number 13.
Back in Time. This was a documentary made last year, sorry. There's a documentary made last year to commemorate the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future by really going into the original film and just kind of it was basically new interviews with pretty much everyone. So you got everyone, oddly enough, except Tom F. Wilson, which baffles me. But and of course Crispin Glover, because he's still a little bitter about things. But
yeah, Crispin Glover.
Regardless, it's everyone else though. It's it's Michael J. Fox, it's Christopher Lloyd, it's Robert Zemeckis, it's Bob Gale, it's it's Leah Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
One is it's a well-made documentary. It really looks into, and there is some Rick and Morty in there too, because the creator does speak, and he has a prominent role as one of the people who's kind of giving their views on Back to the Future and the impact and the influence. I don't know if they touch on the other two, but mainly the focus on the first one, and it's about the cultural impact of Back to the Future after 30 years, what that movie meant, kind of the making of that movie, and just kind of through the modern context of looking at, man, 30 years later, look at all this impact we've shaped. Looking forward to 2015, like all this stuff, and I think it ended perfectly. I'll say I think it ended perfectly for what they're doing. It didn't end in the way you would expect it to end, in terms of like how they could. I think what we all assume is watching this movie how it's going to end, but it ends in a really nice, quiet way. And I think it's a statement on Back to the Future as a whole. What it really is, it's just this. It's a movie that's just it's seeped into the culture, and it's seeped into the culture. It's defined filmmaking in many respects, and it's influenced a lot of people. Rick and Morty being an example there, but it's good cinema, and I think the movie is like a nice celebration of that. It's a good movie. It just shows it's a real appreciation for film type movie.
Okay. All right. Oh boy, let the hate begin.
Also, one last thing, I invested in that one too. It was really nice.
Nice. Let the hate begin, people, because.
Christ.
Yeah, it's not on my top 10. I'm so sorry.
How?
I'm so. Okay. You know what? I'm not even trying to be a dick about this. I just all of the movies in my top 10, I just feel are genuinely better movies than this movie. Wait, I'm sorry. Okay, I am. Don't treat me like I'm a horrible person.
I'm not treating you like you're a horrible person. I'm just.
I really, really, really like Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I really like it. I think it's a really good movie. I think it's a very, very fun popcorn movie. It's one of the best theater experiences I've had in years, and it's also completely and totally derivative of A New Hope. What can I say? There's things I love about the movie. There's certain elements of it that bring it down for me. It's not a perfect movie for me. And I am so goddamn frustrated with this whole thing of, like, people just being shocked that I really liked it. I mean, I really liked it, guys. I really liked it. I'm not saying it's a bad movie by any stretch. It came close to making the top 10. That should be an honor. But no.
If you really liked it, why is it not number 1 to you?
There's a lot of pressure on what your number 10 is. I just want you to know that.
I think my number 10 is very.
Number 10 better be solid, or else you're gonna get raked over the.
My number 10 is literally like. My number 10 is literally a movie that, like, a lot of people have as, like, their number 1 movie of the year. So I think I'm pretty safe in that regard.
We'll see.
I'm sorry.
Look, I'm saying as long as you say it, it is a really good movie, definitely. But
it is. It's a great movie.
It's also pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean. Adventure BlueDragonFive, do you want to weigh in?
I'm gonna sit this one out. I'll come and do it.
Well, I'm not gonna berate you for putting it on the list, because that's what you're supposed to do. Put a good movie on this list.
How dare you?
All right.
I'm sure you put a good movie on this list. I'm not mad at you, Tiki. I'm just in shock. That's all.
All right. So
I could have sworn this is at least going to make the. I didn't expect to be number 1 for you. I was expecting to be on the list, though, on the top 10.
It's not in the top 10. It got close to the top 10. I don't know what to tell you.
Almost like an insult in itself. Like, hey, you know what? It was this close to getting in the top 10.
All right. So, what is your number 12, BlueDragonFive?
What was your number 12?
Yeah, it was my number 12.
I'm sorry, I don't know how I missed that. I apologize for that one. That makes it even worse, Tiki. I thought it was your number 11.
Well,
oh, God. That makes it really bad.
Oh, come on! Oh, come on!
I was willing to let go at 11, but 12, seriously.
Oh,
All right, okay, my number 12 is Creed.
Creed, I really need to see this one.
Oddly enough, kind of, at least according to Kevin Smith, kind of the comparison, kind of the runner-up, the one in the same ballpark as the Star Wars in many respects. For nostalgia.
In terms of, like, they use a lot of Rocky stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, a little bit of that, but also, I mean, Creed still feels a lot of its own, though.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, Creed, yeah, it is. Creed, it's a great continuation. You think, how can they, like, when a minute Creed was announced, you're thinking, oh, well, it's like they had a perfect ending with Balboa, and it's like, yeah, it's a really great send-off to Rocky. He got in the ring again, you know, he kind of relived the Rocky experience again. So, hey, how can you do a Creed aside from making it just kind of a cheap spin-off? Then we see in the trailers, Rocky's in the movie. He actually has a role. He's kind of Mickey now, which is interesting. And obviously, I could have gone with it without seeing it, because, yeah, I like Rocky, but, I mean, for Creed, I'd say, it's not entirely Rocky movie, but I decided to see it because I hear a lot of good praise. And I gotta tell you, it lives up to that good praise. It's a real good character piece. I mean, yes, it is in many aspects. I think it's kind of the Rocky for the next generation. That's what it is. And it's not just retreading the old story points. I mean, there are elements in there similar to Rocky, but I mean, it's you get to follow this character with an interesting story, an interesting backstory, a lot of anger in him, which is kind of motivating the fighter in him, which is Adonis Creed in this case, or Donnie, and Michael B. Jordan's character. And you know, he's very compelling. He's gritty. We know he's a good actor, which we saw a glimmer of that, and we saw a lot of that in Chronicle. We saw a glimmer of that in Fantastic Four. He did his best. You know, that movie was killing him, but we're not going to
I think his breakout role was Fruitvale Station, which was a really hard movie to sit through and pissed me the hell off, but was fantastic at the same time.
Well, you know, I thought he was really good in this. Again, it's just kind of...
of course, Chronicle as well.
It's like, it's interesting. Like, Star Wars is kind of about the legacy of the Star Wars movie. This one's about the legacy of someone you could never dream of filling their shoes, but are finding a new way of doing that, in a way.
Yeah, I mean... it's one of those things where I really like Michael B. Jordan plus the director of Fruitvale Station equals I knew this movie would be good. It doesn't even matter if I like Rocky just fine. I actually just saw the original Rocky just a couple months.
From what I heard, the director of this film is doing a Black Panther.
Yes, he is.
Which I got to tell you, I think it'd be a good choice. There was a very well-directed movie. Again, the most impressive thing people have been praising it for is like the fight scenes have just become flawless in terms of like it looks like how could they? There are basically no cuts. They somehow managed to make.
That's what I hear. And that's what I really.
The fights are very impressive. Like, they do get really brutal again within one take, which is impressive. And the answer is okay. Last in the praise with this movie is this. I know it's kind of obvious, but it's something to really praise. It's Sylvester Stallone's performance here is like it's a new shade of Rocky. I mean, it's different than he was in Balboa. Balboa was just kind of catching up with Rocky. This is like, it was like it was the end of Rocky's journey, and here was like kind of catching up with Rocky of like where he is. He's like settled into a new place in his life, and it takes you to places you didn't really expect Rocky to ever go. It's like kind of the candle kind of starting to go out on Rocky in many respects. Like his story's over, and he's still sticking around, but he's still making an impact in people's lives, which is an element we love about Rocky that we saw in Balboa.
Sure.
You know, here it was. He was a very compelling. He was a very compelling part of this movie. He was a great co-star of this movie. Well, he's more supporting cast, I should say. You know, he was very good. He was like a quiet Stallone performance, which was good. Like a lot of subtlety, a lot of good. Just kind of, he wasn't overshadowing the movie at all, which was given points for. But you could feel his presence within the movie. Like this, the town was his town. You know, it's like you felt that.
Mm-hmm.
Point is, it's a good movie. I highly recommend. I think it might be. Again, so this is like 12 on my list in terms of like favorites. I like Rocky, I'm not a huge Rocky guy. I appreciate it. I think they're very well made films, especially the first one. The
first one really surprised me in terms of like when I watched it. There's hardly any boxing in that whole movie. It's just character. The whole thing is just a character study.
That's what I love about it. That's what we all love about Rocky.
Totally.
Not just him in the ring. I care about the guy. I love Stallone and how he plays the guy. He plays him like such a lovable guy. And of course, I also love the love story.
I got these two turtles. Their names are Cuff and Link.
And I should also mention there's a really excellent love story in this too. I mean, it's no Rocky Adrian, but it's still a good love story.
Adrian!
You Adrian! I did it!
Oh man!
No, but seriously,
fucking epic.
No, but seriously, I mean, like all the Rocky movies, with the exception of 5, or at least are, if not great, then decent. I mean, like 4. 4 again has great spectacle. And it's like it's a fun bad.
It
It's
does.
not
It
bad.
does. Yeah.
Again, not bad. It's fun. It's fun. Odd. It's a fun oddity.
Mm-hmm.
And again, big stuff happens in 4. You can't take it away from it. The events of 4 have shaped this movie. Let's not forget.
That's true. No, that's very true.
I mean, 5 isn't even all that bad. 5 has just some fun elements, but it's not a good. It's not the best because they couldn't do the ending they want to do, which gave us way to some other good ones. The point is, this movie is probably one of the best ones of this year.
Okay.
It's up there with one of the critically best ones.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. My number 11 is. Oh, hi, Denny. It's The Room. No, seriously. It's a movie that's called Room. This one gets into your head.
I was just imagining that kid talking his Tommy Wiseau's for a moment.
Oh god. Okay, so this is basically just Brie Larson and this little kid. Like the first half of the movie, they're stuck in this tool shed that Brie Larson's kidnapper has just fixed for her to stay in. And so she's in captivity trying to raise her kid. And her kid is basically like, the product of the kidnapper doing things to her. Yeah, unpleasant, but I know, it's genuinely unpleasant, but the whole strength of this movie is this kid. This child actor is fucking amazing, and he carries the whole movie. It's from his perspective. And so it really draws you in. Like the opening 30 minutes or so are just from the kid's perspective as he's like wandering around the room in his day-to-day life, and to him, and this is kind of the fascinating thing about the movie, to him, room is the whole world. It's literally like there is nothing outside of room because he's never seen the outside. He's 5 years old and he's never seen the outside. And his mom, she kind of basically invents this fantasy world for him, to just kind of as a coping mechanism, because obviously she doesn't want to tell him like, oh yeah, we're being held against our will and dark shit's going down. So the movie is just basically just a really fascinating, like it's world building for a singular room. You know what I mean? And we really get to know like the day-to-day grind and just how this kid is making the best of it, and he doesn't see anything wrong with it. As a matter of fact, like when they do get out of the room, and this is where the movie starts to get really interesting, is when they do get out of the room, the kid doesn't know how to adjust to it. You know what I mean? Like all the open spaces and just all the, it's like you see the psychological effects of it, and it's heartbreaking, but also kind of uplifting at the same time. And like I said, the performance of this kid, man, it blew me away. I thought it was very unique to show this kind of like this horrible situation, but lighten it a little by showing it through the kid's eyes and kind of having it be like a child's interpretation of this situation. And there's this odd kind of whimsical quality to the movie, and it's just very unique. You know what I mean? It's like on paper, I totally realize that it sounds like a depressing as fuck downer of a movie, but it's not. It really is like, from the kid narrating the thing, and you really get inside his head, and you really feel what the room is like for him, and it's not a sinister place. So you understand what I'm selling you, BlueDragonFive? I don't think it's a movie for you, but it very much drew me in. It was a very unique experience for me. Okay. All right, and with that in mind, I believe BlueDragon. Well, no, BlueDragon. You have to. Your 11. What's your 11?
Yeah, my 11 is. Well, first of all, let me say again, because we're a little unclear when this came out, because it's one of those film festival releases. It's one of the. I Am Big Bird is an excellent film. I guess it's technically not on my list because it technically came out.
I don't have that image pulled up right off the top of my head.
But let's just say it's a really good film for my money. Of whatever year it came out, it's the best documentary made of that year. Whenever it came out, it was a very well-made documentary. It's in a way you've never seen kind of a life story presented in many ways. It's about Carol Spinney, the performer of Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch, and it's a really touching story. It's very telling, and it's so much emotion. Like almost every not 5 minutes, almost like every 10 minutes you get like right from the get-go. Like I believe it's like 5 minutes, and you get this bombshell drop right from the instant, like something really dark and emotional, and you're amazed by like how Carol Spinney has just been able to kind of manage all the negative elements in his life, but also still never lost that hope. Still end up being the cheery guy he is. And there are really so many heart-tugging moments. Next, I made a documentary. But let me tell you my actual 11, though.
Okay.
But just take a look at it, folks.
After I pull it up, thanks.
I noticed it. I was going to mention, but folks, take a look at it, though.
There we go. It's a wonderful poster.
It's an incredible documentary.
It is. It's very excellent. Again, so if it came out this year, it would probably be my 11 or my 10 spot. It's the best made documentary of whatever year it came out. It really is good. But my 11 pick, my actual one, is
probably not this movie that you see right now.
No, it's Justice League: Gods and Monsters.
Justice League: Gods Among Us. Okay, there we go.
Now you got it. It's Gods and Monsters. See, I screwed it up last time. Okay, but yeah, it's Justice League Gods and Monsters.
I'm sorry.
This was
yeah, it was a very good direct-to-video animated movie. I did put it on my list just because it's not theatrical. I don't know where it would have ranked if I would have ranked it, but
yeah. So I guess I'm kind of safe with a Big Bird / this perhaps, but. I mean, I saw I Am Big Bird in 2015, and it's for the majority of it says it's released in 2015. I was go with that as kind of my theatrical / this one. This one was direct-to-video, but it came out this year as Bruce Timm returning to DC animation and in his style, which was impressive. It's been a long while since the Batman Strange Days animated 75th anniversary short we got last year. It's really the first time we've seen the style revisited with Bruce Timm, but also there were some really interesting reinventions of these classic characters in very interesting, thought-provoking ways. It's low on the list because a lot of the really interesting stuff kind of came from the comics, is like the supplemental tie-in comics too. But the film in itself was it's interesting, but I wanted to see more of it. I'm more willing to go into this universe further. But the ideas that were presented, I could watch that opening sequence that establishes our Superman's origin here over and over again. I thought it was brilliant. It's good ideas, good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it right on the head. I think the best part of this movie was definitely the ideas that they presented.
And then, of course, Michael C. Hall as a vampire Batman. That's amazing. I mean, just saying.
Come on,
it's
goddamn vampire Batman. I mean, what do you want?
I mean,
what do you want from me? For God's sakes.
I was sold when I just hear Superman as the son of Zod. I was sold at that point, but also Michael C. Hall's vampire Batman I was blown away by. Okay, I'm sold. Let me see it, and I saw it, and I liked it. Okay.
All right, my number 10, and now we're getting into where all three of us will go round robin. My number 10 is Spotlight.
Oh, so you saw it?
I did see it today, yes.
What did you think?
Well, I liked it enough to have it as my number 10, so obviously I liked it a lot.
Tell us a little bit.
It was awful. No.
It's riveting. It's really a riveting movie. It almost kind of reminds me of like a 1970s like Francis Ford Coppola conspiracy thriller or something like that.
So what's Keaton's role in this?
Keaton has a very large role, actually. He is basically the boss of the Spotlight team. So he's like the editor of the Spotlight team. So he's the one who's really kind of tying these whole people together. And he's kind of the father figure to most of them, too.
Okay.
He's very, very good. I think Mark Ruffalo is the standout. I think Mark Ruffalo was absolutely fantastic in this movie. Also, Liev Schreiber is one of the main priests, just creepy as hell, sinister, hits all the right notes. The movie has an atmosphere to it, and I think this is probably why it's getting the praise that it's getting. It just has this deep-seated atmosphere of, like, dread and paranoia. It almost kind of reminds me of Fincher. You know, it kind of reminds me of something like Seven or something like that, where just the more you get into it, the more uncomfortable you are. And as the Spotlight team discovers more and more and more about this case, you know, it's like there's one point where it's literally like, we have 90 priests. 90 priests in America that molested kids? No, 90 priests in Boston that molested kids.
Well, this movie sounds interesting.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really interesting kind of like there's lawyers that covered up the priests. They have stories. There's all kinds of different victims that all have kind of different motives. There's a lot of moving parts to it. You know, there's a ton of moving parts.
Is this based on a true story, or just based on kind of
absolutely based on a true story?
I just want to make sure, you know.
Absolutely. It was one of the biggest like printed news stories to come out of like investigative journalism in the past decade or so. I mean, it freaking obviously it blew the door wide open on the Catholic Church and that whole thing. But no, it's fantastic. I totally see why it is getting the praise it's getting. And it didn't make me as genuinely like pissed off as I thought it would. It more just made me like uncomfortable and kind of paranoid, which was the intention, you know. It has this great opening scene, and the opening scene is just this priest being led into a police station and then just instantly being, you know, a lawyer shows up and then he's just instantly released.
That sounds awesome.
It is like that, yeah, and it's like that's how easy it is for the priest to get off. So it's a damn compelling movie, man. I highly recommend it, and it's topping a lot of year-end lists for a reason. Honestly, the only reason why it's not higher on my list is probably just because I just saw it and it's fresh in my mind, and I need to just have it marinate in my mind a little more. So
let me say this. I gotta tell you, I mean, this movie, I didn't hear about this movie until I saw Creed in the theaters. I heard my grandmother talking about she wants to see Spotlight, and I hadn't heard anything about this movie until I heard that, and I heard you guys. Oh man, maybe a few box office things. I had no marketing or anything for this movie. It must have been really. I think the marketing could have been better for this.
It came under the radar, but I think this is going to be one of the real heavy hitters at the Oscars. I think this is probably the front runner for Best Picture right now.
Yeah. Sounds like
that.
From what I've heard from you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
To be honest with you, if I were to kind of draw like a broad comparison, just hearing about it for the first time, really, it kind of sounds a bit like a Nightcrawler type movie.
In a way.
I'm saying not exactly all the specific. I'm saying kind of like in terms of a vibe of like kind of like a.
Yeah, in terms of obviously the vibe is just like, you know, just creepy pedophile priests and just, you know, just that whole general atmosphere. And like I said, just that whole revelation, like, it's not necessarily just a problem, it's like a legit psychological condition amongst Catholic priests.
Yeah, like kind of like a scary real world vibe, as if they have this stuff.
You do have these. Big time.
You do have these dark paparazzis, and here you have these dark realities we have to face.
And like I said, there's a lot of moving parts, but all the moving parts are very interesting. Like there's this lawyer, like I said, that, you know, is basically like the main lawyer on the Catholic Church's side, and he's a scumbag, but he's a very well-played character at the same time.
He's not Saul Goodman.
No, it's not Saul Goodman. I hate to disappoint you. Now that better be an episode of Better Call Saul next year. Oh, God.
God. All right. So, should I go or should AdvBlueDude?
You go and then AdvBlueDude.
Okay, my number 10 would be Minions.
Minions, okay.
I really liked Minions. That was fun. I think it's very rewatchable. But overall, though, I think it kind of breaks down to, again, just like a three-act structure of first act was where all the interesting ideas were, and that was the most fun I had. It was like just kind of there were some new ideas presented to the Minions I thought were very interesting and kind of like I wanted to see explored a little more. Second act was just it was like fun Minion shenanigans, nothing really thought-provoking, but it was fun. And the third act just has a really good ending. It has a really nice ending for the third act. Again, it's a pleasing movie. You'll have a lot of fun seeing it. Don't expect it to be like an Inside Out or a kind of something big animation wise. But the animation looks great for the movie. I'm just speaking in terms of animated film. Don't expect it to be super thought provoking, but it's a lot of fun. Again, the first act's where all the good stuff. Basically, the first act could have made an excellent short film, but I don't mind seeing it go further, seeing kind of all the fun shenanigans. Sandra Bullock's a lot of fun, so is John Hamm. It's pretty fun. And let's just say Michael Keaton has a really awesome role in the movie.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton and Allison Janney are really great in the movie.
Okay.
In their roles in the film.
All right. AdvBlueDude, you're number 10.
My number 10, because filler. is Hotel Transylvania 2.
Oh dear God, where is that? No, go on, go on.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was letting you get the picture of it. It's a really great movie. I mean, I haven't seen it since it was in theaters, and the first one is much better, but the second one's still really good in its own right.
Yeah, two had a lot of good elements to it.
Yeah, I just like Gendy Tartakovsky.
This one,
yeah,
oddly
like
enough, felt very felt more Tartakovsky, like, even though he said he was more limited on this one, oddly enough.
I don't know. I thought it felt pretty on par with the first one.
Yeah, it felt very symbiotic Titan with the direction.
Yeah,
In places.
I mean, that's the thing I like about Tartakovsky.
Yeah.
A lot of his stuff feels the same. And I don't mean that in a bad way. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. He just has a very distinct style and a very distinct way of animating, and even humor, because he uses a lot of like physical comedy, which is something that not a lot of animated features have in that style anymore.
Oddly enough, the best thing I can say about it is that the mistake of the first movie was it had too many Sandlerian elements to it, but I think there are far less, if almost none at all, in terms of the Sandlerian elements in the sequel.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Yeah,
that was a benefit for me. I liked it more. Just in more of the Tartakovsky kind of comics. That was a simple story. Felt very kind of the Tartakovsky on TV style, but in a theatrical film, it was fun. I mean, that's the thing. Again, not thought provoking at all, but it was fun. It was just fun comedy.
I just realized, is this poster in Portuguese?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Ah.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Octobrial Cinema. Entry in
Pio Monstri, Pio Problemi.
Little monster, little problem.
Oh God.
But the family dynamics were good in this movie, though. I mean, I like kind of the new status quo with the child. That was fun. So that's the reason to see the movie. Like, that was what they sold in the movie, and that was like where a lot of the fun came from. This kid.
No, absolutely, and Mel Brooks is wonderful because Mel Brooks. So, yeah, no, it was a really great movie. Yeah.
Okay, and my number 9, which I'm sure we'll probably be talking about soon with AdvBlueDude, is Love and Mercy. This was a biopic about Beach Boys frontman Brian Wilson.
That's an excellent cast.
Yeah, right. And it's a great movie. It really is. It's about as good of a Brian Wilson movie as we possibly could have gotten. Is that fair to say, AdvBlueDude?
No, absolutely. I mean, it skipped things, but generally, yes.
It skipped things, but I'm going to talk about this in the same way with Steve Jobs, which is later up on my list, because Steve Jobs only covers 3 specific points in his life, but it's an amazing fucking movie. And
yeah,
I feel like this movie does a similar thing in terms of it chooses to cover 2 specific time periods in Brian Wilson's life, and it chooses to kind of compare and contrast those time periods.
I totally agree, but one of the things that glossed over is probably the most important thing.
Smile.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
That's literally my only.
Pet Sounds sells more. What are you gonna do? People want to see the recording of Pet Sounds. They don't want to see the recording of Smile.
They can still do that, but Smile is so much more integral to.
I know.
Like the story.
Having said that, though, I mean, my God, I know you love the sound design in this movie. And it's definitely one. Yeah, it's one of the things that absolutely stuck with me as well. Just John Cusack and Paul Dano delivering kind of like these dual performances as young and old Brian is.
I don't think John Cusack gets enough credit for this movie, honestly.
I don't think he does either. I think Paul Dano is very much kind of the focus of, at least in terms of the awards recognition.
Yeah, I mean, Paul Dano was great, but like John Cusack like really, really fell into this role.
Well, John Cusack, it's like you feel so bad for him because it's the time in his life where he's just mentally a wreck.
Yes, but he plays that Brian Wilson so well.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't get enough credit. Nobody talks about it.
Mm-hmm. Hey, real quick.
It's John Cusack, and they write it off.
About John Cusack, an excellent movie in case you guys haven't seen it. It's a phenomenal cast also with John Cusack. It's called Runaway Jury. Have you seen it?
No.
Well, check it out if you can. It's really good. It's
I know it's a John Grisham novel, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I just know it's a movie. I mean, Gene Hackman's kind of Gene Hackman's the other lawyer. Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman are on opposing sides of a case, and basically John Cusack's kind of a planted jury member who's trying to sway the jury.
Okay.
It's a really solid movie. I think you guys would like it. It's kind of it's good. Cusack gets to be really charming, really funny in the movie too. But also again he's kind of cleverly plotting.
Cusack is always charming and funny, no matter what movie he's in.
I think it's a really good. It's an underrated movie. It's a good.
Name me a bad Cusack performance. I dare you.
Well, what about that? Was in that Raven
not
thing?
Charming.
That wasn't that Raven thing. I didn't see it. But
bad or not charming.
Not charming.
He's not very charming in being John Malkovich.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that.
And he's bad in 1408.
No, I disagree with you there. I think 1408's a good movie, but
what was it like Poe he was in?
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Whatever the one about Edgar Allan Poe was.
You're thinking of the Raven.
Yeah, that's the thing. I said Raven, but I kind of doubted myself. Whichever that
one
was.
Anyway, Love and Mercy. Quickly because I'm gonna forget when I get to it later. Sound design's absolutely incredible. One of my favorite parts of that movie is towards the end when there's like a flashback where Murray, their father, is like beating them. It's like shit about that, like Brian Wilson's in a bad place. And then it's really cool because there's a song, I forget which song, but it's sort of playing in the background, and then it only comes out of the right speaker. Which is fucking incredible. Like, it's just like an amazing detail like that because Brian Wilson's deaf in his left ear. So like, just details like that is something that really sets the sound design over the edge for this film. And I definitely think it has the best sound design of the year.
Like I said, I just think like it didn't necessarily cover some of the elements that we wanted it to cover, but I think as a movie, which is something that gets so lost in the shuffle a lot of the time when it comes to biopics. Biopics a lot of the time is just like, okay, let's depict this important person doing this important thing, but they forget that it's a movie. They forget that we have to have a narrative structure and things that engage us. That's why I attached to Steve Jobs as much as I did, and I'll have things to say about Steve Jobs later. But, also this. It's like I said, I just think that compare and contrast between Wilson slowly going mad and then Wilson kind of slowly getting out of his funk it's beautiful. It's a great kind of framing device.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really puts you into his head.
Let's
continue because...
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so BlueDragonFive, your number 9.
Okay, my number 9 is, real quick, The Good Dinosaur.
The Good Dog.
Again, just to boil it down, is the... What?
Nothing.
What about it? Anyway, the Good Dinosaur I thought was basically it's a western with dinosaurs, and that's really what it boils down to. That's why it's up there. It's a great experience. The animation looks fantastic. It's a simple story. Yes, it's not the most impressive of the Pixar films. I think it's kind of going back to the old formula of a buddy movie, which obviously it's a big thing with Pixar. But it kind of feels like they're kind of going back to basics in that regard. But also again, it feels from start to finish like an old western, like with the farm and of course with our T-Rexes. It's very good.
Yeah,
it lives up to
I
namesake.
can't find the poster. I'm
there it is, The Martian.
Try the one with the Disney
logo. I know,
logo.
right.
The Good Dinosaur.
Disney logo.
No, the one with the Disney logo, I think, is Inside Out.
Yeah.
Whoa, spoilers.
We didn't say when.
Okay.
Anyway, what was I saying? Basically, it lives up to the namesake. We've already shown the picture.
It's good.
It's good. It has some good emotional moments too. Again, there's the moment I would really attest to, without giving too much away. Say there's kind of a moment of just kind of shockingness, just kind of really hits you. And again, in many aspects, it does feel kind of a Pixar approaching kind of a Bambi story, but also kind of a American tale. Yeah, like Five Goes West in many ways.
All right, Adventure BlueDude, get Matt Damon off of the screen. What's your...
My number 9 is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Oh dear God. Okay.
I was very underwhelmed by this movie.
So was I, my friend. So was I. I'm sorry. I'm just stating a fact here.
Like Peridot.
It could have been so much more. I understand that it sets up a lot of things, but it needs substance as well.
Yeah. A movie doesn't just have to be like product.
I'm sorry,
The colors are spectacular.
Was
The
Matt
opening
Damon
scene
in
was
Avengers: Age of
unbelievable.
Ultron?
Yes. He's Spaceman. He's the Martian.
Why am I? Shut up.
No, he's actually. See, Matt Damon's actually in Justice League. He's the Martian Manhunter. It also ties into Interstellar because he played Man in that. Get it?
Yes.
I don't know why, but I'm having bad luck finding. Like it was going really smoothly, and now there it is. There it is. Fucking A.
It was. I was surprised. It was Age of Ultron. Like technically speaking, was really. It was a marvel to be funny, but like story-wise, structure-wise, it was shit.
The best thing about Age of Ultron was the dialogue.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say the best thing about Age of Ultron was the cinematography.
I honestly thought the action was... there were good action scenes, and then I thought the finale was a little tired. There were good parts within the finale, but overall, I just thought that whole concept of, like, the city being lifted up and stuff was just, like... It was a little underwhelming to me.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the best thing that came out of this movie was the vision.
Mm-hmm.
So you would say there's a good vision behind the movie, then?
Yeah.
I think on paper it's really good that we get more development with Hawkeye, but as people have pointed out, like those scenes on the farm just kind of slow the movie to a halt. It's not good for the movie's pacing.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
I disagree with all of that, but we'll get there.
I know you do. Okay, let's see. So my Please someone riff on Age of Ultron a little more. Never mind. I got it. Okay, so my number, what are we up to? We're up to number 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 8, very underrated movie this year, Grandma.
Grandma? I didn't even hear about this one.
I know, not many people did. I saw it on an absolute whim, because my mom just asked me, like, hey, you want to go see this movie, Grandma? And I was like, yeah, I hear Lily Tomlin's getting some Oscar buzz for it, so sure, I'll give it a shot. It's a damn good movie. Lily Tomlin, she gave the best female, the best actress performance of the year for me, in terms of, she's phenomenal in this movie. She really carries it. But the movie in a nutshell, it's basically about, the granddaughter is pregnant and they're running around trying to get money to get an abortion.
Yeah.
So, I know, again, it's uncomfortable.
Doesn't sound like a cheery movie, let's just say that.
Movies don't always have to be cheery.
It's uncomfortable subject matter, but it is done in a very cheery way because Lily Tomlin is just so goddamn aggressive about it and abrasive, and her character is... I don't know. I feel like I'm not even doing the movie justice describing it. It was the biggest surprise of the year for me in terms of just how complicated the Lily Tomlin character is. And
how much money did it cost?
What do you mean?
The abortion?
Yeah.
Or the movie?
I don't know, like $500, something like that.
They got a whole movie out of raising $500.
Yeah, they did. It's only like an 80-minute movie. It goes by very fast.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
I was wondering how much mileage they can get at. That's all. I'm just with the plot synopsis. I'm just curious.
Well, it all takes place. It all takes place within like a few hours. Like it's practically real time.
Yeah, and with a movie that small, like the only your biggest budget thing would be pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's some good actors in this. It seems like you get Sam Elliott, you get Judy Greer.
Sam Elliott has like a one-scene role, but he's phenomenal. He's really good.
When is he not phenomenal?
I know, but seriously, his role in this is like one of the best pieces of acting I've seen from him in years.
I liked him in The Good Dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
He was in The Good Dinosaur?
Yeah. He was great in
son
Good
of a bitch.
Dinosaur. He was awesome in Good Dinosaur. Really, he was.
When is he not awesome?
This is a much better performance than Good Dinosaur.
He was the one good thing in the Golden Compass.
The Golden Compass.
I genuinely like that movie.
I remember liking it when I saw it, but that was years ago.
remember
Yeah,
not
that's probably the case with me as well.
I think I was 13 when I watched it.
I just remember seeing the trailers for that and saying, man, that does not look interesting at all to me.
I was a fan of the books, so that was where I came in.
I wanted to read the books, which is why I saw the film.
Anyways, I don't really have a ton to say about this movie, except Lily Tomlin is just phenomenal. Like, she really knocks it out of the park, and her character. I can't even describe her character because I feel like if I tried to describe the character, it'd just be off-putting.
We know that she's a grandma.
Yeah, she's a grandma, but it's just like, oh God, I don't know. I feel like I'm giving. It's a It's a hard movie to talk about. It's a really hard movie to talk about.
She's a really good part of the movie. Okay. All right. Okay. Me next.
Yes.
Yeah, you're number 8.
Yes. The Death of Superman Lives. Again, there's a very, very good documentary. I invested in this, so I've been waiting for like 2 years for this movie, and I thought it was worth the wait. I thought it delivered big time. It was again I liked how they kind of walked you through kind of the three particular scripts. Part of me wishes there was a little more, but I can live with that because it's about this is what the story's centered around. This particular Superman Lives. But I could always use more of that story because again, it's interesting. Going into this movie thinking, well, I mean, the main reason you invest in it, aside from the fact Superman is the fact is based on Kevin Smith's in many respects kind of Kevin Smith's story about because we know a little bit about the story going into it. So, okay, well that's the framework. Okay, so this movie's further exploring and giving us some more details, which I love those additional details where he fleshes out the process. And again, the Nicolas Cage thing was an excellent framing device and how that really paid off and how that was kind of Schnepp's kind of his through line through the film, kind of making that legitimate, and I thought that was really well done. Of course, working your characters like that, like John Peters was very well done. Again, the unreliable narrator, been through all that, but it was fun. I'm so glad that it got made. I'm so glad that that all the funding had been gotten for it, that it delivered, and that it was that it just. It's one of the great untold stories. It's like one of those kind of making in La Mancha things. Like one of the, it's like the Hearts of Darkness documentary. It's like the movies that never got made and the story of why they didn't get made. And
Heart of Darkness, that movie.
No, sorry, not that. I mean, there's a not
Less than La Mancha and yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I think I just meant is La Mancha. I might be confusing it, but it's about the.
Less than La Mancha was about the making of Don Quixote.
Okay, I'm thinking there's one about the making of.
There's also one about the making of
Apocalypse Now is called Hearts of Darkness, like something varying on that. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, the documentary is Hearts of Darkness.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, like the La Mancha is the one that didn't get made. This one's in the style of behind the scenes of a movie that was almost impossible to get made. Sorry.
Yes.
That's why I'm sorry. That's what I was getting at. I don't know.
Okay.
But regardless, I mean, it's nice to see kind of the pieces coming together. I always like a good making of story, and especially when it relates to Superman, because I love the making of the official Superman movies. It's like kind of another pillar in the saga of making a Superman movie that has some good characters in it. It was a lot of fun. I think it was very well made.
Yeah. All right, so AdvBlueDude, your number 8.
My number 8 is Kung Fury.
Oh dear God. There we go.
Okay, so picture this. I'm just gonna explain the plot to you. So, there's a man whose name I forget, and he becomes the only person in the world able to perform Kung Fury, which is a form of Kung Fu, which is the most powerful in the world. So the movie starts with him. Essentially, this takes place in like a pseudo '80s place, in like a pseudo '80s.
Is this the movie where Hitler rides a T-Rex?
Yes.
I gotta tell you, just looking at the posters, one of the coolest posters I've ever seen.
His partner is a Triceratops, but he doesn't work with partners. So he goes back in time.
So it is like Theodore Rex.
Yes, he goes back in time to the Viking Age. Oh, I forget her name, but the names are incredible. So, and then he meets Thor. and Thor keeps moving his pecs, and then he transports Kung Fury to Nazi Germany, where he kills Hitler through the power of Kung Fu.
Does he do the heart exploding move?
No.
Okay.
I forget how. Actually, no. Hitler doesn't die.
Okay, well, let's not spoil it for people.
And it sets itself up for a sequel. But there's like this incredible sequence, like where it's just like these two German people with Hitler mustaches talking about how their Hitler mustache are better, how their is better than the other.
I gotta tell you, this sounds like Tarantino's wet dream right now. That's what it
kind of is. And then Kung Fury just crushes them with the tank. But it's the most incredible movie of the year. This would be my number one if it wasn't 30 minutes long. But it's an incredible feat of cinema.
That might have been something to mention.
Yeah, I think that's an important detail.
Well, I didn't mention it because I didn't think you'd let me put it on the list.
No, it was released theatrically, right?
No.
Oh, well, it was released this year, though. I mean, not I mean last year.
Yeah, it came out like November? No, it was October because I first watched it on Halloween. It came out October. It's on Netflix.
Well, it counts.
If any of you would like to watch it, it was a Kickstarter movie.
Awesome.
But, yeah.
Well, so was Schnepp's thing was Kickstarter, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Indiegogo.
I don't know. I think it was both. I think he did both for that one. He did a second campaign. I was the one I was involved with the second one.
Okay.
And also he did Back in Time was also a Kickstarter. I'm sorry. Go on.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say the point is watch Kung Fury. It's incredible.
Sounds great.
It's so great.
So
oh my god!
Now on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. You could. Yeah.
I might check that out. This movie.
You absolutely should. The barbarian girls ride a giant wolf, which is really a dog that's superimposed to be big.
Wow.
And it's actually the best.
Whoa.
Yeah. And there's T-Rexes.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my number 8.
Are they stop motion or are they CGI?
CG.
Okay.
There's a lot of CG, but it's really good.
Okay, it's good CG though.
Yeah, like I mean, like it's campy, but like it looks good.
Okay.
It doesn't look bad.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So my number 7 movie, I really, really, really wanted to put this in my top 5. It kills me that this movie's not in my top 5. But
is it Star Wars Force Awakens?
No, it's the fucking Peanuts movie. Honestly, the only reason this movie isn't in my top 5 is that I think the plot is like maybe a little bit too simple for its own good.
It's the Peanuts.
Oh, look at poor Charlie Brown. He's at the very end of the
How the hell complicated do you want it to be?
More complicated than just like, hey, there's a new girl at school and I want to get her to like me.
But it's the origin of the little red-haired girl.
It's the Peanuts.
Okay, well, the main reason why this movie's not in my top 5 is the red hair.
Is it because of Franklin?
No, it's not.
That's a little racist.
Yeah, what the hell are you trying to say about me? It was Linus that made Franklin sit at that chair, not me. Come on.
Speaking of, Franklin's the only person of color in that line.
Well, I mean, look at him. He's like right in the middle.
No, look at the back there.
I don't know if she's. I think
next to
she's
Fifi.
tan.
Look.
I think she's just tan.
There's 2 people.
I don't know.
Also, there's a girl in the other boys' line, like right behind the little red-haired girl. She's a little obscured right there.
She's just tan.
Okay, never mind then. Sorry.
Okay, well, the Red Baron scenes they drag on too long and they're a little out of place with the rest of the movie.
Okay.
Other than that, this movie is an absolutely fantastic homage to all things Peanuts. It's just a love letter. It was just about as faithful to Schultz as they could have possibly gotten. All the voice actors were amazingly spot on in, depicting the characters. The animation was, I would wager to say, so much as groundbreaking in the style. A lot of good qualities to the movie. A lot of good qualities. I just think if we maybe had a little less Red Baron and a little more character development on some of the side characters, it would have been like a masterpiece.
I haven't seen this movie, but I disagree with you.
You really should see this Adventure Blue. It's a good
I want to. I've just been busy with school. No, but I disagree because it's
You
the
pick
Peanuts.
school over Schultz?
I mean, I'm sorry, it's film school. Does that account for anything?
You could have watched it for homework assignment or something.
No,
couldn't you?
it's not how film school works. I watch fucking bullshit movies.
I mean,
from
the Red
mornings.
Baron stuff it really is out of
Tree
place.
brought me like 8 times, right?
No, only once, thankfully. But no, I mean, like the Red Baron scenes, I agree, but I don't think the Peanuts movie needs as much character development as you think it does.
I'm not even necessarily saying character development. I'm just saying, like, for example, I think people like Peppermint Patty maybe could have gotten a little bit more to do in this movie.
Okay.
Off the top of my head. I'm just in general, like, I feel like most of the characters get their due, but it would just be like, these are characters where you just want to see them more, and I'd rather see them than some, like, How to Train Your Dragons ripoff, like, flying Red Baron scene.
Does Rerun get his due?
A rerun is not in the film.
I didn't think so.
And neither is Old
Well,
Hall.
actually, there's a kid who's very similar to Rerun, but he's not Rerun.
Pigpen has some amazing moments, as does Schroeder.
Good.
Yeah, Schroeder has a really awesome thing. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but just say Schroeder has a really great part of the movie early on.
Yeah. Okay, that's about it. I mean, it's, I praise the movie. It's great. It's easily the second best animated film of the year. I think you guys can guess what the best one is, but like I said, it's really just the Red Baron stuff that keeps it down from the top 5 for me, and I really wanted to put it in my top 5. So,
Cool.
Okay, BlueDragonFive, your number 7.
My number 7. Oh, this is a great one. I love this movie. Kingsman: Secret Service.
Okay.
This was an excellent movie. It really was. Matthew Vaughn did this one. This is he director of the first Kick-Ass, the director of the X-Men First Class. He's very good. I mean, he's the guy Marvel should really either Marvel or Fox should definitely get on their stuff, because he's the one like who should have his hands in the Fantastic Four to make him good again, or just his hands on Spider-Man. This guy is born to make Spider-Man. This Matthew Vaughn, it really is. Point is, this movie is kind of it's a spy movie for the new generation, but it's like the wonderful homage to the classic spy movies in so many ways. It's like some of the best action. Matthew Vaughn's big stamp is like he's an action guy through and through. He knows how to do action. Again, you've seen Kick-Ass, you've seen X-Men First Class, particularly the first Kick-Ass movie with Hit Girl and all that stuff. Just fantastic, phenomenal action. If you liked any of that, this movie's like that cranked up to 11. It's like some of the most, it's like classy spy moments. Like, again, as you'll see in the poster, Colin Firth is the standout, one of the most excellent parts of this film, Colin Firth as Harry. He's great. As you can see, it's an all-star cast right in front of you there, folks. You got Michael Caine, you got Mark Strong, you got Samuel L. Jackson, and plus you got this female over here. She has these really awesome leg implants, too. Yeah, basically, it's like so many cool ideas, so many cool spy things. Like it's a modern spy movie with elements like with the leg thing you see there, but also it's like the gadget guy in me was so satisfied with all the really cool spy gadgets. Like they had like exploding items. You had really great tactical maneuvers. But again, the best sequence, without telling you what happens in it, is just let's just say the church sequence. If anyone's ever just mentioned casually, the church sequence was the best part of the movie.
I've heard casual mention of the
one of the
sequence.
best scenes in that film. And also Mark Hamill has a role in there. I'm not going to tell you where or when, but he has a little role in the film too, which is pretty fun. But Kingsman: Secret Service, just an excellent movie. It's just like this kid in the top here. He's kind of a newcomer from what I understand. But I don't know a lot about him. He might have done other things. He's basically this street tough kid who has a really hard life. You root for the kid because his father was a spy and his father was killed. And basically Colin Firth worked with his father and gives him an opportunity to join the Kingsman Secret Service, and through that he basically gets into the academy, so to speak. So basically, it's like kind of like I think you would like this, Dave. It's kind of like a Survivor type thing. Like they weed out until it's one person.
That sounds interesting. Honestly, like I said, I'm just very, very burned out on movies that are just straight wall-to-wall action, with the exception of one movie this year that we'll get to.
Well, that's the thing. When I say wall-to-wall action, what I mean is like when they do the action, it's it's sublime, but it's not all about action. There are a lot of great moments of just like really kind of classiness and a lot of tension in the room too. It's like there are great, it's like classic Bond moments and Bond villain type, like great conversations. So I'm just saying it's such a great movie. It really is. It makes you just see how good a filmmaker Matthew Vaughn is. You want to see him do more stuff.
I mean, I definitely should check it out at some point. I'm just a little burned out with action movies right now.
This is like a spy movie like you've never seen before. I'll say that.
Okay. All right, AdvBlueDude, you're number 7.
My number 7 is Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton.
I really wanted to see this movie.
I don't have a ton to say about it. It's a really good movie. It's a really solid movie. It's nothing too terribly like wowing, but it's a really good movie. I saw it because one of my idiot roommates pirated it, so we just watched it.
Was he straight out of Compton?
No, he's straight out of like the ghettos of Jersey. So that's beside the point.
Straight out of Jersey.
Straight out of Jersey.
But
that's Kevin Smith's version of this movie. Like, just okay. Who would
they all go to a convenience store and they all just kind of sit around.
No. But like looking at this poster, like who would be fucking like Kevin Smith's crew? Like, I think Kevin Smith would probably be Dr. Dre, and then you'd have to have Jason Mewes in there. Jason Mewes might be Eazy-E.
Who would Ice Cube be?
I'm thinking Ice Cube might be Ben Affleck.
Well, in the Clerks?
No. It doesn't necessarily have to be all.
Just the universe. I thought you meant specifically.
Yeah, just Kevin Smith's crew in general, not even characters, just his crew.
Oh, that's simple then. Yeah, sure.
And then throw in like Walt Flanagan, and then throw in like Mosier.
Yeah.
I guess Mosier would be DJ Yella.
Probably. We're
MC Ren has reminded me of Kylo Ren. I was imagining Kylo Ren as a DJ or something.
You know what Kylo Ren reminds me of? You stupid idiot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was holding off my answer there because I remember the movie fights there. The guy had the shirt on, the Kylo Ren.
Oh,
shirt.
I want that shirt.
Stimpy
I want that shirt so bad. All right, is that all you have to say about this?
Yeah, no, it's a really solid movie, I think.
And how's Giamatti in it? He good?
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, he's always good.
Cool. Okay, my number 6 pick is The Revenant. Yeah, holy shit.
I think there might be a problem with that. That says it came out January 8th.
Yeah, but it came out in limited release, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah. Just like Hateful Eight technically came out in January, except for like the Cinerama.
Yeah.
But The Revenant is, I'm sorry guys, I kind of have to talk quieter because it's getting later, but The Revenant it's the follow-up to Birdman, which was the Best Picture winner.
It's a direct sequel.
Yeah, it's the same director as Birdman. The cinematography in this movie is fucking incredible, and it's like honestly one of the most impressive feats of filmmaking I have ever goddamn seen in my life. It's that good. Like, there are shots in this movie, and it all just uses direct sunlight. There are no artificial lights in this movie. It's all just direct, like, natural lighting, natural snow. The cast and crew had to just freeze to death in the wilderness to shoot this thing. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio at one point slices up a fucking bear and uses it as basically like a tauntaun. No, it's an amazing fucking movie. It really is. I have a couple issues with it that I'll get into, but first of all, Tom Hardy. I think people are all focused on Leo, and Leo's great in this movie, although he doesn't really have a lot of dialogue. It's mostly a lot of grunting. But Tom Hardy this is the best role I've ever seen Tom Hardy in. He's equal parts like charismatic and sensical and also a complete and total bastard. And you absolutely get the drive that Leo has to kill the shit out of Tom Hardy. and it's a very, very well played, like, dynamic. It's honestly probably one of the most satisfying revenge stories I've ever seen on screen. The bear scene in this movie is like, I have no idea. I mean, it must be CGI, but it's so goddamn convincing. Oh my god, oh my god. It's spectacular in its ambition. It's spectacular in just the way that they shot it. It's not like Birdman in that it's all one take, but there's a lot of cuts that are like Birdman, where it'll go on for like 2-3 minutes at a time without cutting. So you do get that Birdman kind of flavor there. Uh, one thing I have to take away from it that prevented it from being in the top five is I feel like there's too much of the runtime that just kind of focuses on Leo sort of having this spiritual journey, and a lot of it is very abstract and very kind of pretentious. Like, oh, look at this image. It's so goddamn symbolic and meaningful. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I feel like there's a little bit too much of that in this movie. There's a little bit too much heavy-handedness. I also feel like it probably could have been cut down maybe 10-15 minutes, because there's a lot of just Leo just wandering around in the wilderness, but you feel how cold this movie is. That's one of the things I've heard people coming out of this movie. It's like people legitimately say that they feel like the movie theaters crank up the AC, because you feel like Leo, you feel like you are on the edge of hypothermia. It really gets you in kind of like a visceral sense. Yeah, it's an experience. It's a definite experience, and it is easily one of the best films of the year. Not quite in my top five, but don't discredit it for that. It's a fucking event of a movie. All right, BlueDragonFive?
Okay, my number 6 is The Peanuts.
Peanuts, yay!
Now, I did really love this film. Again, it's always excellent. I thought it had these great emotionally gripping moments. For the most part, I liked how the Red Baron was working, except for one scene where let's just say it homages it's Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, where basically it's not bad at all. It's just the way it's worked in is like it's the only they change how it's worked in opposed from the other times it's worked in, and just like it's like kind of a plot hole in some aspect. To like again, actually not a plot hole, just it feels. We shouldn't be seeing what Snoopy's doing right now, like kind of like how we shouldn't be like changing the perspective. Like it's the only one that deviates from the story. The rest of them are kind of tied into the story. That's what I'm getting at. Sorry, but really the only thing I can really bring to this, aside from again, there were some great emotion moments, and the big thing about this is what I really was so impressed by the movie is that you get to see an element of Charlie Brown you don't really get to see that much. You get to see the sacrifice of Charlie Brown, and that really touched me. It's like you get to see. We've always seen Charlie Brown fail, and we say, "Oh, poor Charlie Brown." I mean, now you get to actually see kind of like Charlie Brown this close every time. His basically AdvBlueDude. Charlie Brown in this film is just his main goal is just to do one thing right, just to do one thing right. And every time you get to see this time around, he's so close to actually getting something right, but he does doing something selfless. He sacrificed that for his friends, for other people, and in doing so he failed. But there's a lot of levels to it. It's like a new emotional depth applied to Charlie Brown you never thought of before. The animation looks great. It's the strip brought up there. There's some homages to the classic 2D look, which are really nice, really well done. I think it's a movie Charles Schultz would be proud of. And one interesting fact I found out today that would be worthwhile bringing up is that apparently it was in Charles Schultz. Charles Schultz is one. Essentially, this was Charles Schultz's last gift to us, essentially, because he was brought up the idea for the movie, and he had in his will. He had in his will that they're not allowed to do any new Peanut stuff after he's gone. It'd be reprints of the old stuff or some variation or some. I don't know the specifics. That's what I heard today. Well, I guess yesterday. It was early in the morning. Anyway, the point is like. That's why this movie took a lot of time to make, because they were trying to get it just right, working off the framework Charles Schultz worked up for him, and is kind of still making it in honor of what he made there.
Sure.
So they can't really do new ideas, I guess. It's like be adapting old stories or old books. Hence the blanket, Happiness is a Warm Blanket special they did. It's based off an old book. They can adapt stuff. They can't tell new stories. And this was kind of the loophole within that. So going forward, it's a question of what they're going to do with that. But if they're going to do sequels, which again, there might be some stuff tied in.
I think there's absolutely possibility to do
well, obviously,
sequels.
People want them to make sequels. It's a question of the Schultz family if they're will go forward.
Sure.
Again, Charles Schultz's wishes were not to do, and so this is his last gift to us. And I think it's a gift that him and the Schultz family really delivered on. I think it honors Charlie Brown, and it gives you it gives you that nostalgic feeling of the Peanuts, but also just reminds you why they are still relevant, why we still care about the Peanuts, why Charlie Brown and Snoopy are so important to society.
All right, well said, well said. AdvBlueDude, you're number 6.
My number 6 is The Martian. We've kind of already covered it.
Oh, you're right.
So I don't really have any
Matt
news.
Damon.
There's Matt Damon again. Yay.
Yeah, he was in space for a time.
That's it, the end.
And it was on Mars.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
And it
going
was
to fly
not
around like Iron
Interstellar.
Man.
It was not Interstellar.
Yes.
Oh, dear God. Oh, jeez. That's the one thing that really bothers me about the Martian, is it's practically the same fucking plot to a certain
No, it's the
extent.
prequel to Interstellar. That's how we got
Right.
I mean, you have to realize that the book was written in 2011.
Oh, I know. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally getting into my top 5. Let's make this as quick as possible, because God knows this is going on too long. But
Please, God.
my number 5 is, bam, Ex Machina.
Ex
Oh.
Machina.
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 Tiki's
Machina.
right. It's Machina.
I know.
Alicia Vikander is going to be an absolute sensation after this movie. She plays a robot. Like, yeah, it's freaky. It is freaky. There are some genuine disturbing elements of this movie. I love the atmosphere of it. The atmosphere of it, because everything is underground. Like, it's this giant warehouse. Not warehouse. It's this giant mansion that basically, like, the stand-in exec for a Google type company owns, Oscar Isaac. But the mansion is all entirely underground, except for like a small portion of it. So throughout most of the movie, you're in these hallways and these corridors, and it really makes you claustrophobic. If you want to see Poe Dameron just play a ridiculously different character, watch this movie, because Oscar Isaac is out of control in this role. He is equal parts like utterly charming and utterly just like despicable and disgusting.
I can't wait to see him as Apocalypse, by the way.
And also, Domhnall Gleeson does a very good job as well. He's General Hux in Star Wars, but he does a very good job. Overall, it's an original sci-fi movie. It has some very, very, very good commentary, some very good thought-provoking messages about technology and kind of our reliance on technology and the advancement of technology. It's thought-provoking as hell. It's original, and it's really well done. Great performances. Easily one of the best movies of the year. It was one of the first movies of the year that I saw, and it never got out of my top 5. Okay. BlueDragonFive, your 5?
My number 5 was Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland. Okay.
Now, I really like Tomorrowland. You know, I thought it was a really good Brad Bird movie. I know the third act. I've made peace, but I think it's still
The
a good.
third act is horrible.
I'm sorry. Is it my pick or is it your pick? Can I say my pick? Then you poke holes in it.
All right.
So Tomorrowland, yeah, the third act. You know, it's not what we expected, but you know, I think it's an interesting idea, and I think it holds up. Yeah, it would have been nice to, again, without getting into too many details. Now, let's not get into too many details. But you know, third act, it's not exactly what you expect, but I think there's enough backing on that for this. You know, you're not going to see what you think you're going to see in the third act. It's established that, but you still kind of want to see it, though. That's the thing. But I think the ideas presented there are interesting. But talking about the other more positive aspects of the film. Again, I think the Brad Bird charm, the Brad Bird kind of thought, and this kind of the experience that you get a sense of in this movie, like a 100-mile dash type feeling is in the opening of this film. You know, there's so many great.
My absolute favorite part of this movie is the nostalgia shop.
Yes, the nostalgia shop is great. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so many great Brad Bird touches, and it's such a personal movie for him, and you get to see that. It's such a great film for an artist. That I've heard that.
AdvBlueDude, it's got all those like French philosophers / authors that you love so much.
Oh yeah, I need to see it. I'm meaning to.
Let's just say, watching the DVD, and so there's some interesting details that were revealed about some really interesting hidden facts about, and like kind of what got the movie started. Let me tell you this, and I hope I'm getting this right. I heard this not on the DVD. I just watched it on demand, mentioning the movie and why George Clooney was drawn to the movie. What he heard of what got the movie started. This is very interesting. Tiki, do you remember that box that was announced at D23 that they found?
What's in the box?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember the box, like the 1952?
Kind of.
Okay, well, the point is that box, the reason they brought that there, and this is a really interesting thing, is that there was a black light ran over that, and there were like interesting blueprints or a design of some kind on the items in that box. Or there was a blueprint of some kind or a message of some kind there in blacklight. It was like a hidden thing, kind of inspired the movie to Brad Bird, and just you get to see that. It's like I think it's such a pure film in many aspects. You know,
I think one of the really positive elements of this movie is that all three of the lead characters just bounce off of each other incredibly well.
I think George Clooney is really good in this movie. I think he's great.
He is.
I was so drawn in by the opening of this film, and I loved his character, what they did with him as young Frank Walker.
The opening of this movie is basically like Disney theme park fan porn. That's what it is. I'm sorry. It's like, here, want some Small World, want some World's Fair, just like, here, have it all. Just have all these Easter eggs. Here, there's a fucking tunnel behind Small World.
It's like that's what, again, hence the blueprint in the box thing. It's things you know, and like things on the surface that we just kind of accept, and there are some deeper meanings behind it. And like the message of like, you see something extraordinary, what's that going to do? It's going to inspire you to get to an extraordinary place like that, or inspire us as a collective whole to get somewhere. That's about inspiring. It's like a great movie for artists. I'm not the one to say that. I've heard that. I think it's a great analogy for it. The artist will. Creative people will love this movie, and again, I love the gadgets, and the gadgets are fantastic. And again, also it's a testament to kind of the classic Disney. They take like the House of Tomorrow, the House of Inventions, and they had like they kind of adapt that into this movie, make it all useful.
They do, yeah.
And
it bothers me that you see Space Mountain and you never know what the function of Space Mountain is. You never go into Space Mountain.
It's a roller coaster.
You get some great visual spectacles, some really interesting ideas. You love the visual of Tomorrowland and kind of what it inspires. And again, what it means is like, always push for tomorrow, push for kind of the next big thing. And again, just seeing Frank Walker's journey is very interesting. There's some really great emotional moments there. Again, I argue this movie kind of convinced me that Clooney is at his best, as some of his best in this movie. At least for me, I'm not a huge Clooney.
He's like Descendants level Clooney.
Me in this movie, he sold me on not as like a regular Batman, but as like Kingdom Come Batman, where basically it's a Batman who's just kind of, he's not grizzled or like Dark Knight Returns Batman, but he's like. He's just
like Batman and Robin Batman.
He's like an aged paranoid Batman. That's what Kingdom Come Batman was like. And that's essentially what this Batman is. There's the guy who he saw paradise and it was taken away from him. He's just embittered at life. But he still has a lot of heart to him. I thought it was interesting, man. It was like, again, Britt Robertson I thought was really good as our main lead. And again, I love the idea of the pinner. There's so many interesting ideas. Again, the Brad Bird heart is in there. I could watch this film over and over again. I love the ideas. I think the cast and the acting is really good. It's a fun movie, and it's just, to me, it's a personal thing. I love seeing the Brad Bird's work on film too. It's good stuff.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. I think it's definitely worth a watch. I think people at least take some good things away from this movie.
All right. I mean, no, I definitely enjoyed it. It's like I'd have to look up. It's
got a good message. You got to admit that it's got a good message.
It's honestly probably hovering like right around like 26 or 27. It barely made it off of my top 25 list. So, okay, AdvBlueDude, you're number 4.
My number 5 is The End of the Tour.
Number 4.
No.
It's 5.
Oh, it's 5? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm exhausted at this point.
My number 5 is The End of the Tour. We've already talked about it.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh my god.
You have nothing else to say about it?
Not really. I've kind of already
Okay.
said what I've had to.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh Jesus, no! You have to riff on it for a while I find the next
Oh
poster.
fucking Christ! I mean, okay. So on the movie poster, there's tape made into the silhouettes of both David Foster Wallace and
That's a
David
good
the
poster
reporter.
image.
It's a great poster.
is.
It's very fitting because David the reporter uses a cassette tape like that to record David Foster Wallace and really get his stuff ready. That's the correct movie for
I know.
for
Thank you.
things about for his interview,
Does
which is
Siegel
what
wear
the
glasses in
movie
the movie?
centers around. I'm sorry?
Does Siegel wear glasses in the movie?
Yes.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
I was just curious.
It just has really odd eyes.
I kind of like the eyes on I like the eyes on Eisenberg there. It looks really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this poster was made in September of 2015 for
Looks kind of like they got Princess Leia buns on their head. Kind of. I mean, look at they got these big buns. Like either they have headphones or they got buns on their heads.
All right, I got the poster. So.
Oh, thank
I
God.
don't see it yet.
Okay. Well, that's because I wanted to properly shut up. Okay, so my number 4 movie of the year is Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. Goddamn epic movie. It really is. It's a movie you need to see more than once, in my opinion. It's definitely a movie where there's a lot of moving parts to it. There's not just the 8 characters, but there's other people that come into it. There's side characters. There's like characters that are kind of in flashbacks and stuff that come into it. All 8 of the main characters all have kind of their own agenda, so it's very hard to keep track of when you first see it, because when I first saw it, I was lost. I got to admit. I mean, I was drawn in with Sam Jackson. I was drawn in with Kurt Russell for sure. I think, what's her name? Oh, Jennifer Jason Leigh. Jennifer Jason Leigh is absolutely amazing in this movie. I think she should be a front runner for Best Supporting Actress. But Sam Jackson is epic.
No big surprise there.
No, but I'm serious though. This isn't just Sam Jackson doing all like, I'm sick of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking train.
Say what again?
This is Sam Jackson, like Pulp Fiction style, like lead character Sam Jackson, and he's fucking amazing. His character is so, he draws you in so much. Kurt Russell is just a force. You know, he's got this fucking Jennifer Jason Leigh chained to him the whole time. I mean, I could just go on about all the characters. It's a Tarantino movie, so obviously it's just a bunch of personalities. But it comes together so well. There's this real atmosphere of paranoia and tension, and just like you get the sense that everyone in this, you know what the general setup is, right? BlueDragonFive.
I think I do. It's is there a bounty or something on the girl, and they're all just held up in a cabin, so who's going to collect it?
For the most part, but what I was getting at was that they're held up in the cabin. That's kind of the main crux of it, and that's kind of like, so in a lot of ways, it's an extremely, like, it's almost kind of like a bottle episode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just got this rhythm to it. In the rhythm I noticed, especially watching it the second time, where all of it is very deliberate, all of it is it's slow paced. It is not a fast paced movie. It is very relaxed for a lot of it, until shit starts getting crazy, of course. But I mean, don't go into this like expecting like a ton of violence, like Kill Bill style. Don't go into it expecting like something on the level of Django Unchained, because it's just not as masterful of a movie as that, but it still is an incredibly satisfying Tarantino movie. For my money, it's probably number 4 in Tarantino's filmography. I think Kill Bill Volume 1, Pulp Fiction, and Django are better movies, but, I mean, it's the Pixar thing. You know what I mean? It's like they're all diamonds here, and I think Hateful Eight is a fucking amazing movie.
Like Jackie Brown, that's another good one.
Right. I mean, I think Hateful Eight, just the cast all around is magnificent. Sam Jackson and Kurt Russell have a really, really good dynamic as kind of the two leads. There's this plot device involving Sam Jackson's character having a letter that was personally written to him from Lincoln. And I'm not going to sell you anything about it, but let's just say that plot device might be one of the greatest plot devices that Tarantino has used since The Briefcase in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, get out of here! That's too much hype.
No, I'm dead serious when I say that. The Lincoln letter in this movie is like The Briefcase in Pulp Fiction. It's that level of like.
It's a big statement there. It's a big.
No, but I mean it when I say that though. I love that plot device. That plot device absolutely hooked me. So yeah, I mean it's a masterpiece. It really is. It's up there with Tarantino's best. But having said that, I can see why people would walk away from it the first time being a little underwhelmed and being a little confused. Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of different players. There's a lot of different motivations at stake. But watch it again, get a real sense of who these people are, and it's like I'm really glad I watched it a second time because I love this movie. Okay. All right. BlueDragonFive, you're number 4?
My number 4, and this is going to go by real quick, Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Now, I really like Ant-Man. I mean, at the current moment in time right now, because of course when more Marvel movies come, it's probably going to change, and if I really kind of re-examine, I might change this. But for me, Ant-Man's in my top 5 Marvel movies. It really is. I really like this film. It's at number 5, bear in mind, but I still really liked it. I could rewatch this one many times. I think Paul Rudd was great. Again, in terms of the writing, I love the kind of story behind the writing. That it's Edgar Wright, he kind of laid out the framework. But I love the Adam McKay and at least I think it's Adam McKay if I'm getting that one right because there's a few McKays. Adam McKay, Paul Rudd, and again with Edgar Wright's obvious influence on the film in many aspects. They really kind of put the comedy and humanity in the movie. Paul Rudd and McKay, that's what they brought to him. McKay was the Anchorman director. It's one of the most notable things he's done. Again, that's really where he knows Paul Rudd from to my knowledge. And the point is, there's a lot of the movie has a great humanity. It's got appropriate enough a small scale to it. But it's small enough, and it's just in this really comfortable place in the Marvel universe where it's still set within the Marvel universe amongst these great things. It fits so neatly into place. And the best thing I can say about this movie, just to kind of boil down to one statement, is this movie. Everyone was worried about this movie from the get-go. Once you hear Ant-Man, it's been in development for a long time. Everyone's always worried about Ant-Man, saying, "Oh, how are they going to pull that one off? Ant-Man, what's next?" But I got to tell you, the minute I heard the premise, factoring all, because I could never factor in like what Edgar Wright brought to it, what he did bring to it. I got to re-examine to figure out what it is.
Well, that's because you haven't seen movies like Scott Pilgrim. Like seriously, you need to get on that.
My point is,
for your own benefit.
My point is, with the Red stuff, I mean, once I heard the premise of it's basically it's kind of like a Batman Beyond type premise where it's the older Ant-Man. They made the other Ant-Man older. They're factoring both Ant-Mans in there, which sounded interesting, but making the older one the mentor to the younger one. The fact is like,
that was the single smartest thing that this movie did, I think.
And it starts out a lot like just the premise sounds a lot like Batman Beyond, and I meant Beyond if I said Begins, just in case. Batman Beyond. Yeah, like with Beyond, he steals the suit and then he becomes the next one to take on the mantle, which is right from the get-go they kind of sparked my interest in. And once I saw the first trailer, I was like sold on it. Okay, I think I know it's going to be a heist movie. I know what this movie is going to be, and basically the movie ends up being exactly what I wanted it to be. So the most comfortable Marvel movie for me is exactly what I wanted it to be. My only fear for it going in was the villain. I think the villain was still he wasn't the best, but he was like making it entertaining though. Again, seeing him in House of Cards also helped on rewatches to seeing how good this guy really is. But seriously, Darren Cross.
He's just Diet Coke. Matt Strong though.
Mark Strong.
I'm sorry.
I didn't really get Diet Coke Mark Strong from him, but
I very much got Diet
you sure
Coke.
you mean Mark Strong? You're not thinking of anyone else?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I mean Mark Strong. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, my point is, he's just like the villain. I think you're still just making it entertaining for what he had with, and just kind of still bringing some interesting stuff. He knows he's not going to be the best Marvel. He's just going to have as much fun with it as he can. That really shows, and I think of course goes without saying. Michael Pena, who I knew Michael Pena from other stuff. I've seen him do some dramatic stuff, seen him do some hilarious stuff, and here he was perfect. And me, it was just such a good Marvel film. I could rewatch over and over again. That's all I really have to say on it. It was the perfect film, exactly what I wanted it to be in terms of that. It was exactly what I wanted it to be, and I was satisfied.
Okay, AdvBlueDude, you're number 4.
My number 4 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I don't agree with you. I think it's a very good movie, and it's probably one of the best movie-going experiences that I've had this year, and that's why it's so far up. It's really the first movie since Return of the Jedi that felt like a Star Wars movie to me, and that's why I liked it so much. And it's number 4 on my list.
Okay. My number 3. Okay, guys. At this point, this top 3, I think all 3 of these movies are just, as much as I like the rest of my top 10 and beyond, all 3 of these movies to me are the masterpieces of the year. The ones that are really going to stick out, stand the test of time. When I think of 2015, I am going to think of these 3 movies in particular. So with that in mind, Fury fucking Road. Oh my god. I'm not an action guy. I'm not a Mad Max guy. I've barely even seen any of the Mad Max movies. This movie is straight up one of the best, just straight. It might be the best action movie ever made. The, with a capital T, best action movie ever made.
And a capital E.
Yes, thanks. The world building in this movie is absolutely phenomenal. It's done entirely visually. There's almost no exposition in this entire movie. The plot is literally a truck turning fucking left when they're not supposed to. But it is one of the most visceral things ever put to film, in my opinion. It's fucking amazing. Just what really gets me about this movie is the rhythm of it, and that's why I can just watch it over and over again. It's not just the thrill, it's not just the adrenaline, it's an experience. It's almost a religious experience in terms of just all the imagery, all the world building. I love the culture that they build up with the War Boys. I think that's fascinating. All the stuff with Valhalla, the spray painting their faces before they die. It's all stuff that's just sprinkled in there for us to interpret, but it's never explained. And I love that. And, oh my god, it's fucking amazing. It's an amazing experience of a movie. It really is. Monkey actually was not a fan of it. And you know what? If you're, it's funny, because I feel like this movie is an oxymoron to me, because I usually don't like movies that are just straight action, and this movie is the definition of just straight action. But it's, oh god, the world building is so incredible. I genuinely feel like it's a groundbreaking movie just in terms of how much visual storytelling there is with very little dialogue. And it's got the flamethrower guitar guy. I mean, come on. That's it. And also, goddamn, there's so many good elements to this movie. I didn't even mention Furiosa yet. She's amazing. You have Nux, who's just a fucking great character, one of my favorite characters of the year, who's basically a war boy who gets turned over to the good side. I think not enough people are talking about Immortan Joe as a fucking amazing villain. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite lines of the movie, and one of my favorite lines of the year, and this is where I'll lead it off, is, "I had a brother! I had a little baby brother! And he was perfect in every way!" All right. That's my piece. I'm sure AdvBlueDude is gonna have more to say about it when we get there. But For the meantime, BlueDragonFive, what is your? I'm sorry, you guys seen it follows, or are you seen Mad Max?
Mad Max.
Okay, just making sure. It's up there with Raiders. I mean, it's Raiders of the Lost
Wow,
Ark,
that's a
and
big
then
statement.
I don't care if it's a big statement. I don't care. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then this movie for me. That's how far up it is. This movie is fucking incredible. And
Yeah.
I say that as someone who's not typically an action fan and who has never really gotten into the Mad Max franchise before this. It's just, it's an absolute, a pure action movie in the purest sense of the word. I'm just going to stop because I'm sure AdvBlueDude also has things to say about. I mean, goddamn, just the way that they incorporate, like, one of my favorite things is, like, right when the chase starts and it's basically like Immortan Joe's guys against Mad Max and, you know, in the truck. And then, like, these fucking crazy-ass, like, Volkswagen Beetles with spikes come out, and it's, like, an entirely different tribe of people, and it's, like, you don't know what the fuck is up with those. Oh, it's so cool. It's so fucking cool. I love it. This movie, I will watch this movie with my dad for as long as my dad is alive. This is going to be, like, a hardcore tradition for us. Oh, my God.
Turning left.
Turning Left, the movie, and it's fucking amazing. It's one of the most visceral experiences I've ever had watching a movie.
And the sequel will be called Turning a Little More to the Left.
Probably. Okay, so BlueDragonFive, you're number 3.
Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Avengers: Age of Ultron. Okay.
I really like this movie, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I still like the first Avengers movie more, but I think this one might be a little deeper in many aspects. You know, I think it's got some really good ideas. I mean, again, I think the beginning's great. You get some fantastic images that, you know, we know from the trailers. I don't think I'm spoiling anything, but mentioning, you know, obviously, you know, Hulkbuster. Hulkbuster was just so freaking awesome.
No, I don't think you're spoiling anything with the Hulkbuster.
You know, Hulkbuster was really awesome. Again, the marketing also was really great, building up Age of Ultron. I think James Spader was great as Ultron. The effects overall were really, really neat. But again, I love just where the characters went, each and every one of them. And again, one of my favorite subtle things in movies is I've fallen in love with Captain in the cinematic universe so much at this point. But I really loved just the subtle story with Captain America in that movie. And just, again, one of my simple thing going in the movie I wanted to see, and I got to see it, and it was awesome, was Captain America fighting Ultron. I just wanted to see him
right.
around the face. And I got that. I was happy. And again, like, listening to the commentary and stuff on this movie, it's really interesting. Whedon playing Iron Man, in Whedon's mind, he wrote Iron Man as the villain, and I don't know. It's really interesting. I think it holds up on the rewatch. Myself. No, the first experience is always probably the best experience you're gonna have with it. I think there's just really interesting ideas, and without giving away too much, I love the ending with Ultron, and we already mentioned this one, Division. I love Ultron and Division's kind of scenes together, and I love just kind of that setup, putting them on the course of meeting each other. My favorite element from that movie is a scene between Ultron, and my favorite moment from the entire film was a scene between Ultron and Ulysses Claw.
Mm-hmm. Oh God.
Let's just say I love Ultron's apology. I'll say that much on it. I love James Spader's there's such great mundanity at the same time. There's such kind of great atmosphere and just like tension in the room when Ultron appears, and he's got this great presence. And there's awesome moments. It feels like a big event in a Marvel. It's like they finally got kind of the big event on screen properly so far. And I think Civil War will be kind of a testament to see how they do with an actual big event from a Marvel comic. It's like this one felt like a big event, and this next one actually can be based off a big event. See how they do with that. You know, it felt like an appropriate sequel. They're taking a different direction with some interesting ideas. You know.
Okay.
I liked it. I liked it.
All right, AdvBlueDude, you're number 3.
This is gonna be quick again. My number 3 is Love and Mercy. I kind of went over the reasons why earlier. It's an incredible movie. John Cusack is very underappreciated, and Paul Dano played Paul Dano, but he was very good.
No, Paul Dano didn't play Paul Dano, because I feel like Paul Dano's been typecast, and this wasn't his typecast.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I still felt like it was Paul Dano. With John Cusack, I felt it was Brian Wilson.
Well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
It's an
Okay.
amazing movie. It's an incredible movie. It's everything I wanted it to be.
Keep going.
Oh Christ!
I
mean,
the worst movie's not to find the posters on.
Oh no, never mind. I got it.
Oh, thank God. No, I mean, like, the score is incredible. It's all taken from Beach Boys stems, and it's incredible to see a lot of those lost things brought back and really worked with. It's an incredible film. It has amazing sound design and amazing acting, and it has Paul Giamatti and John Cusack, but also Elizabeth Banks. It's got Van Dyke Parks, but not the real Van Dyke Parks. This one's played by an actor who I've never heard of, but he played a surprisingly close Van Dyke Parks, even though he had maybe 2 lines. But that's okay, because he was very good at Van Dyke Parks, even though nobody knows who the fuck Van Dyke Parks is. But really, of all the Van Dyke Parks, he played...
I love how you're just going off on a tangent about Van Dyke Parks.
Tiki, you did find it, right?
Oh yeah, I have the poster, yeah.
Making sure.
Okay. Alright, we really need to wrap this up soon, but my
we
number
only got
2...
2 left. We're good.
I know.
Technically 8. 6.
Shut up.
Sorry.
But my number 2 is Steve Jobs. This might be one of the best biopics I've ever seen. This is up there with The Social Network, and The Social Network is honestly probably one of my all-time favorite movies.
But is it better than Blackbeard's Ghost?
Yes, it is better than Blackbeard's Ghost.
For the record, I would have liked to see this movie.
I would like to see Blackbeard's Ghost.
This movie has one of the best framing devices I've ever seen in a movie, period.
Yet still, yet another film about Steve Jobs that does not include the Pixar stuff.
No, but it doesn't...
Whatever.
I'm just saying, that's about every time I look forward to a Steve Jobs movie, I'm just like on the edge of my seat, where we're gonna have someone portraying John Lasseter in film yet.
I mean,
Why would that ever happen?
I hate to say it, but in the life of Steve Jobs in particular, Pixar was a little bit of a footnote.
That's all I'm asking for. A little cameo. That's all I'm asking for.
Why would they ever do that?
Why not? It's not that he sold the company for a large amount of money or anything.
That doesn't matter. That happens all the time. He's a businessman.
Come on.
Let me explain the framing device of this movie. This movie takes place over like a 20-year period of time. Like, I believe it's 1985, 1987, and 1999. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But it's 3 product launches. It's the Macintosh, like the original Macintosh that flopped. And then it's when Steve Jobs was out of Apple and he made the next computer, which was basically the Cube. And then it's the launch of the iMac. And
the iMac or the eMac?
The iMac.
Okay. Like mid-2000s or?
In 1999.
Yeah, that's the eMac.
eMac?
Like, is it the one that, like, it's, like, different colors in the back?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the eMac.
Okay.
It's hilarious of, like, the iMac look like, like the Roman numeral iMac.
There's an eMac at my school, and I've been wanting to take it for at least 3 months because it's just sitting there. And someday I will.
Okay, so it's basically like a real-time, like, the 3 acts are those three, product launches, or product unveilings, or whatever. And it's behind the scenes, and it's showing how Steve Jobs interacts with people, and that's the movie. And we get 3 conversations per act with the same 3 people, and we see how Steve Jobs' relationship with these 3 people affects them over the course of 20 years through this framing device. So we see Jeff Daniels, Seth Rogen, and then another another character who I don't know the actor, but he was a character who was close to Steve Jobs' wife, and there was a little bit of conflict there. But Seth Rogen is amazing. Like, Seth Rogen knocks it out of the park. He might be one of the highlights of the movie. Every scene he's in, it's like you just want to give Woz a hug. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh, Woz. Jeff Daniels is spectacular. Jeff Daniels is
Daniels is an underrated guy. He's really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Jeff Daniels in this movie is like a goddamn like fucking like pit bull.
Yeah, he was really good in Looper, by the way. Just Jeff Daniels. He's a good actor.
And of course, I mean, Kate Winslet plays Steve Jobs as essentially his secretary, and she's basically the only one who can put up with him. And she's very good in the movie. You see him kind of slowly break her down as well.
So she's kind of like his Pepper Potts in a way.
Exactly, right. And then Fassbender is fantastic. Just Fassbender loses himself in this role. He is. I want to say he's unrecognizable, but it's less about the physical. It's less about him physically, and it's more about kind of like the mannerisms and just kind of the eccentricity that he gives to Steve Jobs. And like I said, I feel like I'm not even giving the framing device justice. The framing device blew me the hell away. It's constantly moving. There's constant stress. There's constant drama being backstage 45 minutes before these things are about to be unveiled. And it's just a movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat from the word go. It's incredibly fast-paced. It's incredibly engaging. I mean, I can't. I don't have enough.
It's a side of Steve Jobs you haven't seen before, right?
It's more of an asshole side of Steve Jobs, but that's one of the criticisms I've heard.
It's a flawed side of Steve Jobs, right? It's like a side, it's the flawed side of Steve Jobs you can root for, though.
It's definitely the flawed side of Steve Jobs, yeah, and it's one of those movies where it's like, it takes you a while to even warm up to him, because at the beginning of the movie, he's like, oh my god, like, this guy is kind of a menace. But then throughout the movie, you kind of get where he's coming from. So it's kind of one of those movies where gradually the layers get peeled back on the guy. But like I said, man, I can't say enough good things about the framing device. It was just absolutely ingenious to, instead of focus on Steve Jobs' entire career and entire life, he focuses on these three particular events. And of course, there are flashbacks that are worked in very well. You know, we see some flashbacks to Steve and Woz in the garage doing their thing back in the day.
Woz in the garage.
That should be a band. Woz in the garage. Actually, probably the best scene, one of the best scenes in the whole movie is like this conversation between Jobs and Jeff Daniels, and Jeff Daniels essentially plays the guy that fired Jobs from Apple the first time. Nice. And it's this conversation where they're having it like after it happens, and we're flashing back to seeing the actual firing take place. And it's, oh my god, it's like the way that they flash back and forth, it's spectacular.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to go over the whole movie.
Excellent movie, I get it.
Yeah.
Which it seems good in the trailers too. But I could see a bit of like Jobs, but without looking like Jobs, but see Jobs in the performance too.
Oh yeah. And absolutely, the third act of the movie is when physically he looks just like Jobs, and it's almost creepy. I'll admit that the first two acts, it's more kind of the mannerisms, but the third act is just like it's
so kind of like a Disney thing from, say, Mr. Banks, but a little more intricate than that, right?
I mean, I wouldn't really compare it to Saving Mr. Banks, just because it's just got this pulsing like tone to it, you know.
No, I mean the portrayal of Disney. I mean, just like it's like he doesn't really look like the guy, but the acting kind of just sells you on it.
Sure. But yeah, like I said, I can't say enough good things about how this movie's structured. It's one of the most unique 3-act structures that I've ever seen. Okay. In fact, I would say that there's 3 acts within each of the 3 acts with the 3 conversations he has with the 3 people. It's like you can break this movie down by math. It's so perfectly structured. Okay, I apologize. So, Dragon, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is...
Oh boy.
As you can imagine, that would translate to Star Wars Force Awakens. I enjoy this movie very much. As the summaries it, I thought it was great. Again, it just kind of captured everything. I think it captured the original trilogy in many aspects and just kind of got you the feel there in the first movie. And a trilogy, it's meant to kind of encapsulate all this film, just to show you that it's in good hands going forward with the story. It didn't move the story forward, introducing some new characters, felt very New Hope-esque in that way. Yes, in some aspects it's kind of the same plot points, but again, it's kind of a legacy thing. So I think that's why we can look past it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a great movie.
Look, I'm saying it's a really good movie. Okay,
Yeah,
it's a really good movie.
I know, but that's what we're all saying here. It's an excellent movie. The theater experience was phenomenal. It was
yeah, absolutely. The theater.
I mean, you feel like you were part of history. It's like we were part of like the good version of the Phantom Menace thing. Finally. It's like it's such a rewarding experience. I rewatched it earlier this week, and I gotta tell you, it holds up. It's a lot of fun. Again, just the moments of these characters. Again, without giving anything away, it's so. Like, Kylo Ren still is just so awesome to me. I mean, he has such presence.
I still am struggling with Kylo Ren. I'm still struggling with that.
Yeah, for me, I was just sold from the instant, not of Kylo Ren, but I was sold from the instant of just the Stormtrooper turned good guy. That was encapsulated me before. Sorry, I mentioned this before. Is the, just aside from the fact that Star Wars coming back again, of course we're obviously going to see it and everything. But the moment it really sold me was just from when the idea of the Stormtrooper turned good guy. I was like, okay, that's an interesting idea. I want to see how that goes. And Stormtrooper potentially be, as you can see by the poster, potentially becoming Jedi or not. Wielding a lightsaber. That's awesome. Point is, we got a lot of great characters. It's an exploration yet again to the Star Wars universe. It feels just like you've taken a step back in the universe. It's, as I said going into it, it's like the stuff true in your bones, but seeing it from a different angle. You get to see inside the big same visual. You see inside the little the light speeds. You get to go around it inside the little blue effect.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive. A lot of fun. I could watch it many times, and just the ending makes you want more.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a great film.
All right, AdvBlueDude, we are going to go ahead and skip your number 2 because your number 2 is both Dragon and I's number 1.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that all together.
Okay.
And you were kind of silent when I was going over this movie, so I assume you have thoughts of your own. So go ahead, talk about Mad Max.
Okay, my number 1 movie of 2015 is Mad Max Fury Road. It's just a really incredible movie. I mean, as Tiki said, it has basically nothing of substance, but like
basically absolutely nothing of substance.
Technically, it's a fucking marvel. It's probably the most beautifully shot movie of the year. Though I haven't seen The Revenant, and I'm not including The Revenant, I don't even care. Mad Max is the most beautifully shot movie of the year.
Cinematography-wise, I would have to give the edge to The Revenant just because of how goddamn hard The Revenant must have been with the natural lighting and everything.
The real question is, does it have goofy movie lighting? That's the real question.
But was the color correction as good as Mad Max?
No, it was not.
Damn right, I got you there. Is that really the only thing that disappointed me about Mad Max was the score, because going on the trailers I expected much more classical music. And I mean, I shouldn't be disappointed that they wrote their own score. But I
thought the music,
but the
second music
trailer
was incorporated into this movie incredibly well, though. I mean,
it absolutely was, but
just how diegetic it all was.
It was, but it wasn't incorporating quite the way I wanted it to be.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, I told you this, like, the second trailer I watched nightly for about 3 weeks.
I know.
Because it might be my favorite trailer ever. Just because of the way they use that one song. I used to know the name of it. It's somewhere in my YouTube playlist. But it's just like this Italian opera piece, and it's absolutely fucking incredible. And the way they synced it up with the actual images is absolutely incredible, and honestly what I'd like to do as a filmmaker in some form. But like I kind of wish they went more in that direction in terms of the score, but that's really my only critique. The movie is beautifully shot. The story, while simplistic, works incredibly well because it's fucking Mad Max. You don't need complexity. Everything's great. Most everything's practical. I really like that they got the big CG moment out of the way in the first half hour.
Yes, totally.
Even though the movie was like 2 hours, 15 minutes, something like that, it didn't feel like that. It
feels like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's a very fast-paced movie.
Every time I watch this movie, it feels like an hour and a half, if that.
Which is incredible because it's such a long movie.
Uh-huh.
It just
Whereas with The Revenant, it's like you feel every minute of the 2.5 hour runtime, and it's very deliberate.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta tell you, though, Star Wars also feels, even rewatching it, still feels like it goes by like that. It moves by.
Yes, but goddamn Mad Max, it's absolutely incredible. It's my favorite movie of the year. I saw the other two. I haven't seen Thunderdome. I didn't like the first one. I really like the second one, but I also got high halfway through. The third one I've heard isn't that good. So essentially, I think Fury Road is the best Mad Max film.
I think Fury Road is easily the best Mad Max movie. I don't even think that's a question.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess it's that time to break out the inside-out tissues.
Yeah, finally, kind of. Kind of.
All right, do you guys want to do the song?
Can we? Okay, so folks, if that has succeeded now, this movie does so many times, if you have like little teardrops, like type in little teardrops in the comments for us, would you?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1 is lava.
Well, lava is actually part of why this movie is such a great complete package. I mean,
yes.
Lava is my genuine favorite Pixar short. But no, Inside Out is the best movie that Pixar Studios has ever done.
It's up there. I will say it's the smartest, best written Pixar film. I will say it's the most brilliant Pixar film ever.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
I've been doing these movie review things since 2006, and for a Disney fan, you would think that at some point I would have an animated film as my number 1 movie of the year, and this is actually the first time that an animated film has been number 1 of the year for me.
Really?
But I mean, if anything deserves to be, it's this movie. I was blown away from this movie from the fucking second it started, from the fucking moment that we heard that bundle of joy theme on the piano.
Michael Giacchino, he's a genius.
Mm.
I mean, it's the dark. This movie is basically like the dark and gritty, like 80s era Don Bluth movie with a high concept that I wanted, that I was craving so badly for so long.
It's got the Pete Docter heart to it.
Like even some of the best Pixar movies are almost reliant on their comedic elements, and I feel like this movie is absolutely reliant on its dark elements. And I mean, just bing bong. I mean, just bing bong. Just bing bong. I mean, come on, we could just end the conversation right there. I mean, what a fucking well realized character that was. Joy and sadness, just that like Pixar has always been known for having these great kind of like Odd Couple style dynamics, right, with their 2 main characters.
Yes.
And I feel like Joy and Sadness is the absolute goddamn like new poster child for that. It's like Woody and Buzz were like, if Inside Out marks basically a renaissance for Pixar after Cars 2 and Brave, then I feel like Joy and Sadness are like the Renaissance characters, like the Renaissance poster. I want to say poster boys, but they're not boys.
Poster emotions. Post emotions.
This movie is very genderly confused.
Well, remember, I mean, there are male emotions. You got fear and you got fear and
anger.
Well,
yeah, that's exactly why I'm saying it's genderly confused.
Oh, right, sorry. But oh my God, this film, it's taken something we've kind of seen before. The idea of, okay, they're like you've seen the inside of mine. You see, okay, they're guys who controls panels, but this is like adds a myriad of so many levels to it that you never thought of.
I mean, the control room is just really kind of like the starting off point. It's really when they get into like the subconscious and they get into all those high concepts, the train of thought, the abstract thought, the way that dreams are made. It's all thought-provoking stuff. It's all illogical logic at its absolute finest.
Yeah, it's some of the best illogical logic we've gotten in a long time. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there's always been some great logical logic. This one just reminded me kind of like the logical logic of Toy Story. It's just like, it makes sense. It would happen.
And I mean, like, of course you've got those just gut-wrenching moments, those absolutely gut-wrenching.
Like when Goofball Island goes down. Again, that's what I use from without giving it away for the other movie. But it's what I use for like the big gut-wrenching moment in Star Wars Force Awakens. That's my comparison point. It's like when Goofball Island goes down, my reaction was Joy's reaction. It's when that was played so realistically. Again, the editing, by the way, again, Kevin Nolting, going back from Up, again, it has so many shades of Pete Docter. He knows how to balance the three things. He knows how to balance the heart, the humor, and the not just darkness, but like the sadness of it too. Again, joy, sadness, and humor. That's what his shtick is. He knows how to do that. He knows how to balance those extremely well.
I mean, just the ending with like the mixed emotion of joy and sadness, the mixed memory. Just tell me that is not like the most goddamn symbolic thing of the world of like Pixar's entire philosophy.
It is, and of course, it's brilliantly kind of foreshadowed without getting all the myriad details. It gets some good foreshadowing there. But I'll tell you the two moments for me that just kind of will always stick in my mind from this movie. It's just for starters, just that opening. It just rewatching it, just watching it the first time though, it's like it's in there, but rewatching it dawns on you why it's so brilliant, so beautiful. You gotta bring the inside out tissues for that sort of thing. It's just the birth of Riley and Joy being there. The birth of Joy, the same. You get to see Joy created right after the baby. Like they are linked intrinsically from that moment forward, and that's why she cares so much about Riley. And it's just it's so beautiful. And then just seeing like my little bundle of joy, and the first memory being created as just a visual spectacle, the light illuminating the mind. It's like that. It's shaping her life. It's shaping hers. Like things are being created as that orb is rolling down. There's that moment for stars just instantly sells you on. It almost brings you to tears. Right? It's like that's a Pixar record of bringing you to tears. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh totally. But, no. I kid you not. I almost got like brought to tears as soon as I heard.
Every time I hear that music cue now, it's like
yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. But, as soon as I heard that music score for the first time, even just over the Disney Castle logo before the movie even started, I knew. I was like, oh god. Oh god.
The other moment, the great subtle moment that always stick in my mind, is one of the most brilliant. Like Pixar kind of ascending in the animation, so to speak. It's like them as like it's basically cinematography for Pixar here is reaching a beautiful level here. So it's something so simple, so subtle, but it communicates volumes during the moment where Riley, again without giving away too much, when Riley gets on the bus, and it's like emotionally she's really kind of devoid of emotions at this point. The way the camera moves, it just feels like it's the way it's tracking her, the way it feels so realistic. Like you were in the real world this minute. We've identified with this girl so much, and now you're seeing she's in a really dangerous place right now.
Mm-hmm.
It just sells the humanity, sells the reality of it so well. And one more thing, just not about a particular moment, just overall the movie. The reason it's so brilliant, the reason it's, as Tiki brought up to me recently, just that hammers in it even further, is the idea that the film, it's interconnected so well between the emotions and the colorfulness inside Riley's head and all the stuff going on there, and how it connects to the plot, and the subtle message of it being, well, this is just a girl going through a normal everyday life, and just like part of her growing up without the emotions. Like there's still that story going on there, but those emotions just show you what the struggle feels like in an entertaining way. But it's just they're not in charge of their own destiny, the emotion. So many levels, so many analyses.
If you cut out all the parts that are inside Riley's head, this movie becomes a very emotional and very satisfying 15-minute short film about a young girl moving to a different town and struggling with that.
And again, with all the analysis you can apply.
Somebody did, actually.
I know. That's what he
told me about. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, even again, you just look at it. It's this idea that it's. What was I saying? Emotions. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, right. It's the emotions their destinies are shaped by just her transitional periods. That's why that's why sadness is compelled to do things she doesn't really want to do. She knows it's a problem. She doesn't know why she's doing it. That's the reason.
Mhm.
You know, it's because that's her evolution. That's Riley's evolution. It's a natural thing for her, and that's why the emotions are. They don't know what's going on because it's the natural progression of things. That's the way things have to go. There's so many interesting levels. You can spend 10 hours analyzing this movie.
Well, you could. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a brilliant. Again, it's the smartest. In my heart, my top 2 films will always be Toy Story and Up, but Inside is definitely in the top 5. It's a beautiful film. It might be number 3, but it's always going to be in there as a top 5.
Adventure Blue Dude, you haven't said much. Anything to add?
Well, I mean, both of you have kind of already said what I would say. No, it's a really incredible movie. It's probably Pixar's best, and it's just generally amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those movies like Beauty and the Beast where it just goes outside of the realm of just the animation genre to just become like a masterpiece of cinema.
I demand
general.
this
Really?
film be nominated for Best Picture.
I
hope it
hope to
is.
God it does. I
It
hope
better.
to God.
It
I'm
won't
saying-
win.
I know it won't win. I'm just saying
know
it
it
deserves to
won't
be
win.
nominated. Then again, I gotta see what the competition is this year.
Spotlight will probably win, and Spotlight probably deserves it, but
No, I would love if Pixar got it for Best Picture. It'd be such a win. It's such a
And
victory
I
for
think
animation
especially
as a
for-
whole.
especially for this movie.
Yes, if this was the movie to win, it'd be.
Uh-huh.
Again, they've been nominated for some of their best. So that's breaking the mold already because it hasn't been done since Beauty and the Beast. Because you got Toy Story 3, and they get Up in Toy Story 3 being the other
Sure.
contenders for that. And then
Keep in
Inside
mind though,
Out.
those were done like literally the 2 years after the whole like change from 5 to 10 nominations.
Yeah, but still, point is it was accepted in there.
Totally.
Anyway,
But no, I mean, I think we've just drabbled on about this movie enough. It's just, it's an absolute masterpiece. It is
Yes.
definitely, like, I'm not going to objectively say it's the best Pixar movie, but it is easily my favorite Pixar movie.
Let me say one more thing. It's just again,
Yeah.
Ryan Del Carmen and Pete Docter did an absolutely wonderful job. It was all inspired by Pete Docter noticing his daughter one day, just kind of going through that emotionally. And Riley is in many ways inspired by Ellie Docter, and again,
Oh,
Ellie
yeah.
Docter,
Oh, yeah.
Ellie Fredrickson too. Just
God.
again, such a. No, seriously, that's where she voiced her. And
Don't
she-
give me ideas for the Pixar theory.
No, that's reality. That's not. It's inspirations for things. Point is, Pete Docter is being so perceptive and being such a perceptive, brilliant director. Is kind of noticing, taking things from real life, just putting it on film. I can imagine again. The girl looks a lot like her too. It's like he was able to capture a moment from his life and put it in. There's a point where he was really troubled making this movie, and that was his solution. It's a brilliant, it's a beautiful thing, on and off the screen. He made magic with this film. He did.
Absolutely.
He and Ryan Del Carmen, everyone involved, did an excellent job with this film. They should be proud of themselves.
All right. And I would say that basically concludes our year-end retrospective, everyone. Yay, we did it.
So,
Hooray!
2015 as a whole, closing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a whole, like I said, I honestly think the blockbuster movies this year did better than most of the Oscar contenders, as far as I can tell. Like, with the Oscar contenders, there's definitely some good stuff out there, like The Revenant and Spotlight. But a lot of it is just like kind of like, oh, look at these two good actors giving good performances and nothing else of substance. I don't know. But having said that, like I said, movies like Mad Max, movies like Fury Road, movies like Ex Machina, and even with you guys, fine, movies like Star Wars, it's escapism. I feel like this year was like a year of escapism in cinema.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that, Tiki.
Yeah. I think this year was like kind of like the year where it was fun to go to the movies again.
This was, I think, the word that can maybe sum it up would be this was the exploratory year for movies. They're kind of going to a bunch of different ideas here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every movie is an exploratory year in movies.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is like the one where it's kind of like bridging our big year, which is 2016, but also bridging some really good ideas and continuations.
I felt like 2014 had much better Oscar contenders and much weaker, like, blockbusters outside of something like Guardians of the Galaxy. Because 2014, I had, like, I had, like, Whiplash, Nightcrawler, Birdman. I mean, just those three, just off the top of my head, were huge. But anyways, as we wrap up with this 2015 podcast, we also bid adieu to a good friend for at least until spring break.
Goodbye. Yeah, probably. I'll keep
Alright.
you posted as usual.
Well, the last time we said goodbye to you, Adventure Blue Dude, we sang Saying Goodbye from the Muppets Take Manhattan. And since it's your birthday today, I thought it'd be appropriate to sing another song to you.
Oh, no.
But I'm not just going to do the classic Happy Birthday song. No, I'm going to do the Emperor's New Groove version of the Happy Birthday song.
Oh, fucking Christ. Okay, yeah, by all means.
Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it?
I'm always ready.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was our birthday so we could party too. Hey, happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was our birthday so we could party too. Hey, happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was our birthday so we could party too. Hey.
Hey.
Forget it, Jake. This is Cloud Town.